magical to say in the beginning because usually I write words for him, and this week I did not because I didn't write any show at all.
I do better with words. Words are good.
But if you're ready, William.
Have I ever been?
No, and I like it that way.
Then why ruin a good thing?
Then I will give you a 5 in Shri. Woosh mama.
This week on the Mr. Throwback Thursday podcast, we bring you a very special episode. No news, no music, just conversation with our very special guest, Jeremy Miller. Give a listen.
It's not just any day. It's Mr. Throwback Thursday.
All you kids want to get on and shit.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
I'll be damned. At the count of 3, I want y'all to tell me the name of my DJ. 1, 2, 3. The poppers pop and the breakers break. Like the fellas say ho and the girls say hey. Give it up for the DJ, Mr. Throwback Thursday.
And now, here's your hosts, Bill Winters and Mr. Throwback Thursday himself, Jamie Robinson.
And once again, it's time for everybody's favorite hip-hop podcast. And since you can't get that one, you tuned into us. It's Mr. Throwback Thursday, episode 599, coming at you. One episode away from 6 bills.
Yeah, that's a lot of episodes.
And this Bill, York, Jamie down in Virginia. How are you, my friend? Crack-a-lackin'.
I'm well. I got my coffee. I got my rum. I got a little Celsius. I'm ready to go. And for all of those of
That's the holy trinity of your beverage.
It is. I don't podcast without coffee, so it's.
I know you don't.
And for those of you wondering who's in the third seat here, no, it's not Alfredo Torres. No, it's not Ed Young.
No, it's not DJ B.
There is a connection to Ed Young. We'll get to that later.
I was going to say, although Ed Young, we could tie that in, but
we can.
Right.
So,
Sure.
ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, TBT posse, please welcome to the show, Jeremy Miller. Hey, Mel, welcome to the show.
Or Willer.
Yeah, we'll get it all in there.
we just
like
It
your
rhymes.
phone.
It rhymes.
Yeah, your phone turned sideways. My letter's turned upside down. We're good.
There you go.
I thought your teeth moved like mine do sometimes.
Hey, well, happy to be here, guys. Happy to be here. Jay Mill from the good old days of the Source magazine.
Yes, when the magazine was doing things aren't podcasts with people in jail.
Yeah, exactly. A little different. And Ed is to this day he was literally the mentor that I had up there and still a really good friend, a great guy. Ed Young. There's probably no better person in my life that I can point to. Yeah,
he's a good dude. He's our unofficial third chair. So it's like anytime something's going on, he drops in. Talks to us about crypto and teas and whatever else is going on in the world.
He is one of the
smartest
he's
a little bit ahead of the rest. A little bit of ahead of the rest of us. Yeah.
Well, he went to Harvard and all. It's
and he'll be the first one to tell you that too.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I used to have lunches with him at the Harvard Club when he had left the Source. Yeah, I would still get to go visit him at the Harvard Club in New York.
So, Jamie, please tell everybody about our guest and why we have a third person in the chair this week.
Well, we will say first that there's a tie-in. The reason he is here is because he has an auction that's going to be going on fineart.hiphop, run by some people that we may know here. What we have him here for more for us is to get some stories from the 80s and 90s hip hop and this is a man who went essentially from the mailroom to the boardroom at one of the most trusted sources, if you will, in hip hop for the 90s.
Say the preeminent magazine in hip hop in the 90s, basically.
Yeah. As we used to like to say, the world's largest hip hop music magazine, and then eventually we surpassed Rolling Stone on the newsstand. So we would love to claim the largest music magazine in the world at its peak, as far as newsstand sales, which are the sales that count.
It is, yes, they are.
Yeah. Ed would talk about that all the time. That you know, if you have enough money, you can mail enough offers to people to get subscribers. You're going to always get a percentage, but the people that go spend the money each and every month to buy you on the newsstand are the ones we felt were like the real readers. They weren't buying the bargain. They were buying the magazine because they wanted it every month. And, you know, we took a lot of pride in that, and, you know, watching it grow from when I got there, even of just 20,000 magazines being distributed to over 1 million at its peak. You know, that's a big part of what I did in my early part of the source was help, you know, manage the distribution and the expansion of the sales on that end. But, you know, I was always a hip hop kid, you know, who literally moved from Oklahoma to New York. And I joke with people that I used NYU as an excuse to get to New York because of hip hop. And it worked out. I mean, I couldn't have been more fortunate to be able to be accepted as an intern. You know, I would have paid them to be able to work there. So, you know, when they said, can't pay you, I said, fine. You know, I'm just glad to be in the building.
Yeah, it's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to get paid. You know, if I get paid, bonus, but you know, that's not the goal.
Nope.
Right.
So
I believe, as Aaron Burr said on Hamilton, just wanted to be in the room where it happened.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, but so Oklahoma City,
yep,
New York City, very, very different places. How is it that during the time, you know, in the 80s, hip hop made it all the way over to the left there?
Yeah, so it was there obviously, but you didn't have, you know, cable.
Right.
Oklahoma City didn't even really have a rap station. We had a soul music station, KAEZ. Shout out to the now gone KAEZ. But I was fortunate that Luke Andrighetti lived in this world and moved from Connecticut to Oklahoma, and brought with him the record that most of us, you know, were able to hear, you know, to expose us to for the first time. Only it was 3 years later, in '82, fourth grade for me. He played Rapper's Delight in his bedroom, and I remember just staring at the record player like, "Oh my God, what is this?" Like, and it literally changed my world. I was able to support my family on hip hop as a result of my fascination from that moment on, and like many our age, the exploration era began for me because, again, we didn't have a station to even get a clue who to buy. So I quickly kind of learned how the groups were named. If there was a number in the name, I was taking a chance on buying it without even listening. You know, if it had a 4 or 5 or a 3, you know, I was bringing it home. Eventually kind of learned like, okay, I can trust anything on Profile. I can trust anything on Tommy Boy. I can trust anything, especially on Def Jam.
Def Jam
came out. And, you know, and Sugar Hill, of course, you know, you learn the basics. And once in a while, you just see a weird one that you didn't know and be like, all right, I'm going to take a chance on that one. Sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But God bless my grandma. She would let me stop at Sound Warehouse almost every weekend in Oklahoma. And it was a 20-minute drive to get me from her town back to Oklahoma City. And I'd beg her, can we stop at the record store? She would sit in the parking lot like 2 hours while I would just go through everything and, you know, and just, you know, get a 12-inch single or a regular single. But
Jamie, does that story not sound like me and you?
Yeah. So we say, you know, we're from New York, but we're an hour north of the city.
Okay.
So, I mean, obviously I'm in Virginia now, but we grew up an hour north of the city.
And we grew up basically a mile and a half down the road from each other.
Yeah. So we didn't have, you know, it was very difficult unless you were on a home stereo system, not on your box, like on an actual system connected to an antenna, to pull Kiss FM that far.
Right.
But, you know, there was one spot, and we've told the story 100 times. There's one spot in town. It was the High Park Swim and Tennis Club that Bill and I were not members of.
Okay.
But we could go there and sit in the parking lot on a Friday and Saturday night
get the signal
and listen to Chuck and Red. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. So real quick to connect the dots there to make it even more similar. The same friend, Luke Andrighetti, who I owe it all to, his dad came to Oklahoma making oil, but it was 1982, so he missed it in Oklahoma. Figured he'd try his luck by moving to Houston. So I was then able to go visit Houston and Luke start making tapes, because Houston had a solid radio scene, so he would record tapes and send them. The big break was he moved back to Connecticut, which did pick up the New York City stations, and every month would send me a Mr. Magic or Red Alert tape, and then eventually like Chuck Chill Out. So really the exact same sequence, exact same time period where, you know, I was getting the same tapes of guys you guys were listening to, you know, down the road.
Yeah.
And I would tell him, leave all the words in. I want to hear what they're saying in between the songs. I want to know the stories. And so I became the guy at the track meet, you know, with the boom box, like, oh, where'd you get all this stuff? Where are you getting all this new music? And I'm like, oh, that's my guy, Luke. You know, yeah. And I remember telling Bobbito about that, because then when I moved to New York, then I became the friend that would send stuff back.
Right.
So I would record off of Stretch and Bobbito when I was at NYU dorms. And he started calling me the Pony Express whenever he would send me. He'd be like, oh, man, my man, Pony Express. Because, you know, I was sending those tapes back to Oklahoma, you know, for my friend.
Because that's our pay forward moment.
There are worse nicknames to go with.
Right. I could be worse than Pony Express. For sure.
Could be.
Yeah.
But your shopping routine was a lot like ours. We did the same thing.
Yeah.
We were lucky. We had a mall not too far away, and we would get together usually on Thursdays when the records came out.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that back then.
Yeah, which is kind of odd that we do this as Mr. Throwback Thursday now.
Yes.
But we would always be in the mall, and we would look, and if there was anything that was specifically we knew was coming out, that was always on the list.
Right.
And then we would look at album covers.
Yep.
And if there was an album cover that piqued our interest, or like you said, if we saw a group name that had a number in it, chances are it wasn't going to be bad.
Right.
But we did that. We had more hits than misses, I will say that.
Yeah. I would say the same. You know, like there were a few strange ones that I still have in the collection to this day that came out of that. But I'm not even mad at those. You know, like
like I have Rap's Greatest Hits cassettes here, volumes 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
I got them in sometime in the mid to late 80s, and I still got them.
The interesting one like that I had is, believe they put out like a 98.7 mixtape that they distributed nationwide that I had.
Yeah.
It didn't have as much hip hop, but it had like a lot of D Train and, you know, like the old music from that era. But even that, like, you know, I was already into black music, you know, and again, like what they were calling soul music at the time. But so it's kind of a natural evolution to then get into hip hop. But, you know, so I love it all. I'm wearing the Parliament Funkadelic t-shirt now. You know, that's like all of it to me. Is,
I got my Fife Dog shirt on.
There you go. Yeah. I realized coming into this, I didn't have I don't own a single hip hop concert t-shirt, so I had to throw in the funk t-shirt.
But that's good enough. It's inspiration.
It's the foundation. So
hell yeah.
Well, if you want to get some good t-shirts, you can go visit our friend Pumice at meltedmics.com, MLTDMICS.com. He has the hip hop themed tees. He takes lyrics from things. One of my favorites is the lemonade shirt that Jamie has. It's got, you know, lemonade was a popular drink and it still is.
Still is. Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. But that's really the intro to hip hop in a nutshell for me. And I just was lucky to meet the right kid in the right place. And
that's the thing that amazes us when we hear it. So like we grew up in New York. Hip hop grew up in New York, so we were always exposed to, whether we had to go, you know, a little out of our way to get more. But when people from like the Midwest and even like California early, you know, they had electro and whatnot, but for them to say, "Oh no, I was listening to Run DMC in '83," I'm like, how the hell did you get Run DMC in '83 when we just got Run DMC in '83? You know, it wasn't that big a thing. And not like now somebody drops a record, it's everywhere all at once. But you know, back it's I always like those stories.
And kids, like the hardest concept from this was like even pre-rap videos on TV. Like, you know, I would go to my grandma's house every weekend because I loved her, one, but two, she had cable. So like, you know, like you didn't even have cable in most houses in 82, 83. Like that was kind of a mid 80s to late 80s.
Yeah. For us too. Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't have it.
Yeah. And even then, like you know, I was upset because like Donnie Sim wasn't playing rap videos. He was playing like, you know, he was playing soft soul. You know, like it was video soul. It wasn't video hip hop. You know.
Yeah, I remember getting all excited because Friday Night Videos was a thing, and I'm like, cool. I might get there was all, you know.
Nope, it was Duran Duran and Cyndi Lauper and you know all that stuff.
Yeah,
which was fine.
That was also the era. Like
not what I was looking for.
Even like any like Flashdance, you just got excited seeing people breakdancing in a
Yeah.
movie for
Mhm.
2 minutes or something like that.
Oh yeah.
So try.
Oh, we got-
we didn't
Lori likes her
record it. We
stand-in.
didn't have VCRs. So
Yeah.
I got
I-
a little. I mean, I got a little excited the first time I heard Blondie break out a little bit of
Yes,
rap at the end of
Rapture.
Rapture,
Yeah.
right.
because I was like, okay, this is
And
different.
I may have heard it in the opposite order, where I was familiar with Rapture, didn't even think about what it was until 5 years later. Like, wow, there's rap. She's actually rapping on
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I didn't know what it was, so I couldn't.
But I did Fab
Talk
Five
about her.
Freddy was. I mean, that's who she started with. Fab
Yeah.
Five Freddy said everybody's fly. And I'm like,
yeah.
Right.
okay, I don't
Yeah.
know who that is. And then
Yeah.
Figured that out.
when
15
TV Raps
years later.
rolls around, here's Fab Five Freddy. I'm like, oh shit, that's the guy.
Right. Well, and then funny story. Like then fast forward, wild guess. So like 20 years, I'm with EPMD and Redman and K Solo after we did a big summer promotional tour with them.
Oh,
Getting to go around with Fab
mention
Five
that.
Freddy while they, talk about their new albums that are coming out. So, that's the amazing part about what happened, in that period at the Source. Because I was there for 18 years.
Mhm.
I think officially, the longest tenured employee, over any period of time. Like I started in 91 and I didn't leave until 08. So
Yeah.
it was a nice long run from intern to president eventually there.
Mhm.
So.
You mentioned EPMD. Is that this picture here?
Yeah, that's the Hip Hop Heat Wave tour right there. That was me in the back of the van. And this was kind of pre radio stations doing a lot of the big mobile vehicles now with the sound systems.
Right.
We had 415 facing outwards on each side of that van, and like behind those doors facing in, we actually had a full mixer. So we didn't have any ability to hook up turntables, but we could actually mix cassettes while we were driving down the road in that van. Which so that was like summer '92, and EPMD had a new album coming out. Redman was going to be coming out like that fall, and like spent most of that summer on that tour pouting because nobody knew who he was at the radio stations.
They were about to
And
find
he
out.
would be
though.
lucky if they'd say, okay, go ahead and stick around and we'll talk to you too, and we'll just record it for later. That was the treatment Redman was getting on that tour. But that was time, we were blasting Time for Some Action, like, and nobody knew who he was, but like, you knew that song was going to be
Hell
something
yeah.
when it came out. Yeah. But that was great, man. I got to spend a month on the road with icons, like, and I'm talking about EPMD because again, nobody knew Redman at the time.
Right.
Solo was known. So he was like somewhere in between,
In that Spellbound
had,
era.
Your Mom's in My Business and
Yeah.
Mhm.
Spellbound and all that, and got to know all of them pretty good. The most legendary part, that's the summer that they broke up, and so while we were on that tour is when one of them, their houses got broken into, allegedly, and perhaps set up by the other member
By
of the
the other
group.
one? Yeah.
And all I know is in the middle of that tour, they were like, well, EPMD, Eric and Parrish had to leave. I'm like, what? Like, so like the house got broke into while we were on that tour, which was crazy. So we spent like 2.5 weeks on the road with EPMD. The remainder was just Redman and K Solo. And I
I'm
just
sure that
remember
was
their
interesting.
security dude. Their security dude, Albie, was like, and they mentioned him on the first album. They said Albie has the heat or something like that, and he was like, "Yeah, something went down, and they had to go." That was it. That's all we knew. And we're like, "Oh, okay, all right,
Good
But,
enough.
yeah." So,
Yeah. And
but that's when it was like Skinny J Mill and Husky Redman. Now it's the opposite: Skinny Redman and Husky J Mill.
Mhm. Yeah, I think
big
Reggie's
time.
done pretty well for himself since then.
Oh,
Yeah.
incredible! Yeah, incredible.
That Muddy Waters 2 album that came out last Christmas, I still bump that on regular,
Yeah.
at least once a week while I'm
And-
driving
and-
into
And
work.
and our connection was the T-shirt I'm wearing. Like he was, they don't call him Funk Doc Spock.
That's right.
I mean, the Funkadelic, like is
Mhm.
at the root of a lot of the stuff he enjoys too, and that's where we kind of connected. So that was really cool though, getting to know somebody before they blew up like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also gave us one of our favorite drops ever. So
Yes.
Fun is that?
he recorded something for us to play as an intro into like a
Yeah.
segment and stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, now, he told us specifically we better play his music when it drops because he
Yes.
is a hot topic. And then he called us a couple of things. And then he also said we owed him a blunt when we see him.
Yep.
Now,
He did say that.
now, neither one of us partake of the blunt. So,
No,
Right.
but he didn't
that
say
might
you
be-
need one for you. You need one for him.
but that might be tough. If I know I'm going to meet him, I'll have to talk to my kids because they do
Yes.
that sort of stuff.
Well, it's funny you mention that because
I know a
on
guy.
that van tour, I had asked, Dave Mays, the owner of the store, it's like, well, I wanted my boys to enjoy it too. So one of my best friends from Oklahoma kind of tagged along in my Suzuki Sidekick.
Oh, wow.
And like,
Yeah, that
the
was.
room was paid for. I said, look, you don't have to pay him. He'll be in the room with me. I'll share my per diem, blah, blah, blah. So like, why be on the road if you can't be on the road with your boys? So,
Hell yeah.
he came along, but the fun part is I had my car, so when we got to a city, I could roll around and go anywhere still. Well, Redman found out about that, and so I became the guy to be like, hey, I know this guy. I got to go pick up some weed. Can you take me? Like that became my job, to take him to find a local weed guy in the city.
Nice.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's an interesting indivial.
Yeah. But
Like
he stood the test of time.
He has.
Sure has.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's. I mean, if you throw him on stage with anybody, he could go toe to toe. Right now.
Yes. Yeah. No,
He's top three. He's probably top three for me.
No, I would not argue. He is the most energetic dude I've ever seen on stage.
Right.
Like from beginning to end of the show, he's giving you 100% of what he's got.
Right. Yeah, he brings the whole package.
And you better watch it not through a phone.
he goes up on stage. He'll tell you right in the beginning.
Put the phone down.
Put your phones away. Be here. Otherwise, he said, if I see you up here with your phone, I'm gonna wet your phone with these water bottles. And damn it if he doesn't do it.
We saw him do it at the Woo concert.
At the Woo concert.
Yeah, and that just wrapped up. So
yeah, their last one. We saw the 25th.
This Wu-Tang?
No, we saw the 25th anniversary
a
few years ago.
That's one of the auction items. That's the first 12-inch from RZA's address on stamped on there. That's the original 12-inch of Protect Your Neck.
That's and you have that one and the actual
Yes,
public pressing going up.
Since you
auction,
brought up
right?
Wu-Tang, I'm not trying to get shameless plugs in, but
Hey,
yeah. So the
We have
those
no
two
shame
items
anyway. Plug away.
Right, those two items specifically. I've got the original first pressing that RZA was distributing just to try to get the group signed, and then I've also got a copy of the first pressing from Loud Records. When that was started, and the fun story about that is Matty C, now legendary A&R man for Loud, producer of a few Mobb Deep tracks you might know, like Shook Ones. But,
you may have heard of
I
that
might
one.
have heard of that one once or twice.
Right. He was still at the source, and he's the man behind the most legendary Unsigned Hype articles. He wrote the Biggie Unsigned Hype. He did Common. He did Mobb Deep. DMX. Long before people knew who DMX was, he was another kind of he's the guys people forget was in the source Unsigned Hype. But RZA gave Matty like a little stack of records to help them get promoted, or not promoted, but signed. So this is one of those pieces that given directly from Matty C via the RZA. The crazy part to me is just seeing like a local Staten Island address, which I since learned was actually RZA's home address, as the address for Wu-Tang Records. It was at an interesting time where I started transitioning from playing albums to CDs and everything else. So, once you played a record once and recorded it onto a tape, I'm not a DJ, so I didn't have the need to play it again. So, just sat here for 30 years in pristine condition. And, when Ed approached me, again, my old boss from the source, who's he's now doing a website called fineart.hiphop. That's where you can find it, fineart.hiphop. And, he said, "You've probably moved things around. You want to kind of, we'll do a special auction, for some things that you have." So, I had always thought about, kind of selling the Wu-Tang records as a set, because, I feel like, somebody else needs to appreciate them too. Share share the loaf. And then I found a few other items, which we could talk about, as it comes up a little later. But that's since you had mentioned Wu-Tang, I figured I'd flash that 12-inch across the screen.
And we can compare.
Yeah, I see somebody in the comments said plug one too. That's nice little Dave already. Nice. Yeah. So there it is. Yeah. Again, probably played 3 or 4 times, and I see the record go for different prices online, but I figured, while I'm selling a few source items, those have an interesting source story that make these two pieces a little more unique in the fact that exactly where it was handed down. It went like straight from RZA to Matty C, who ultimately helped get them signed to the record he went on to be the A&R at. So it was, there's a direct connection there from those guys. And the question I can't figure out, and online you see varied numbers, is I don't know if anybody even knows, and RZA's never been asked directly, or I couldn't find anywhere, is how many copies of that first pressing did he do? I don't know if it was 200, 500, or 2,000. I can't imagine. I can't imagine it was more than a couple thousand. Ed's thinking it might have even been like 500 or 1,000, but
that's highly possible. I mean, at the time, how much money did they put together? And
right, and they would it would have at least cost them a couple grand if it was 2,000 copies. So
say, with the overhead they would have had to come up with, I can't imagine that they would have had enough to do much more than that.
Yeah,
I think they could probably do it a lot better now.
Well, yeah.
That group's pretty good from what I understand. They may go far.
Okay.
They're okay. Yeah, they're.
But it is crazy that like they just finished. They're officially retired now, right? As of this week.
As the Clan, they are retired. Yes.
Right. Because so there will be no more shows as a group.
No.
Yeah,
I know.
It was great. I got some videos sent to me randomly by people at the show. Like I'm just glad that. And it was a younger person, so I'm glad that I'm thought of as the older guy who would appreciate the video live from the show. That made me feel good. I never thought this person was even going to send me a video, and they're like, "Yo, I'm at the Wu-Tang show." I'm like, "Oh, I'm really makes me feel good. You thought of me to send that video."
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I've made some kind of old school impression in their head.
One of our posse members, Gail, who's in the chat, she was at one of the Wu-Tang shows. I believe the one in Tampa, right? Emily Arena. And she said it was fantastic. Now, when we went to the Wu-Tang show back in Washington, D.C. a few years ago, the one thing we noticed, and it's funny, you said we're the old heads, and you was sent by every age group imaginable at that show.
Yeah.
And everybody was just getting along. And we saw people older than us wearing matching tracksuits and just having a blast. And we're like, that is what Wu-Tang isn't just for the children. Wu-Tang is for everybody.
I was going to say, well, the fact that they made it clear they love the kids early on, and they kind of grew up feeling that love.
No, they are the great unifier. We were there, and there was a lady who was like 2 rows in front of us who was blind.
Oh, wow.
And she was at the Wu-Tang show. And I was like, everyone comes in. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yep. Well, that's that's credit to Dave Mays, the founder, like the one single founder of the Source. Like that was his vision in the beginning. Is like this, and he still speaks about like the unifying power behind hip hop.
Yeah,
it was. It's born out of Black culture and Puerto Rican culture, but the fact that a white kid from the suburbs in Oklahoma City could hear it and just have his life changed, and I'm not the only one. It resonated with people of all walks of life. And if you look at kind of who was buying the records back in the day too, like it was created in a city, but it was being purchased in masses by a large group of white kids around the country who are now raising kids that know
who are now buying stuff online.
We qualify that. Yes. And now, the best part for me is my daughter, 21 years old, has her Spotify lists and all that stuff.
Yeah.
She plugs her phone in, we go somewhere and Nas pops up. And I'm like, all right. I didn't even tell her about this. She's a bartender. City of Poughkeepsie. Now, Poughkeepsie being an hour north of the city, she's heard some of these things come through the jukebox, and she's like, okay, I'm going to add these to my Spotify list. So
Shazam it and see who it is. Yeah. Yeah. So on the note of kids, my son just got married last week.
Yes,
And
congratulations. I meant to say that
Congratulations.
pre-show, but now,
appreciate that. He and his part of my speech. I could talk about both of them. They came together because of their common love of music, specifically hip hop. That's their favorite. But she's like a VP of marketing at Universal, and Def Jam is under Universal. So part of my
Mhm.
speech, I kicked off the speeches. I'll tell you another funny note about that in a minute. But I actually made reference to the fact that, you know, as a kid growing up, I would have died to know anybody working at Def Jam. And then I was like, and God damn it, if my new daughter-in-law isn't working now, like I was just so happy. Like when she comes home, like wearing a Def Jam jacket or,
Ah.
just, any reference to it. I'm like, I don't think she even understands like how iconic it is that she's working there.
no.
But, just to like have that in the family now, the second part, my son kicked off the DJ set at his own wedding and did the last 30 minutes.
Damn.
And I couldn't help it. They had a mic set up around kind of a U shape of table for the speeches. So, you see a mic, first had to do is what? Check, right?
Check,
So,
yeah.
but as soon as check came out, and they had it at a concert hall in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and it sounded so clear. I was just like, a few years ago, a friend of mine, and I pulled back, and then like I got such a good reaction to that. I did like the first half of Sucker MCs to kick off the speeches.
Nice.
And I brought the house down. I was proud to say.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Sucker MCs kicked off the speeches at my son's wedding, and he DJ'd his own wedding partially. So like I couldn't be more proud as to raise hip hop kid.
I was gonna
Hell
say
yeah.
that brings a tear to our eye.
Yeah. But and I told the crowd, like, kind of in a funny announcer voice, I was like, Sucker MCs, Run DMC, 1984, first song I ever memorized from start to finish. So
Mhm.
there it was. But
Who's next?
now
next?
I'm the football kid. I was like the fifth grader watching the high school kids play that in the dorm rooms we stayed at in football camp. So,
Mhm.
you had to pick up, signals everywhere to try to track down the music.
Yeah.
Mine was Rockbox.
Yeah.
Rockbox was the
That
first
was on
one.
the
Yep.
same album. Yeah.
Yeah, because a friend of mine, it wasn't Jamie, believe it or not.
No.
This is before I met him. A friend of mine had the LP, and I was
Yeah.
listening to it at his house. We were probably in 4th or 5th grade at the time,
Yep.
and I heard Rockbox, and I'm like, "What is this?" And he shows me the album, and I'm like, "I need this." And my
Yeah.
father basically told me, "No way was that coming into the house."
Yeah. We
Until it
probably
did
heard that
anyway.
Yeah, all of us had that relative in the family. We're like, what are you listening to?
Yeah. And I probably got blamed for it, for Bill bringing it in the house.
No. You know what? I was like 14, my first job, my first check. I bought my first, because I had the stereo with the turntable and everything in the room. I bought that Run DMC album, and that's when my father was like, "What is that?" And I'm like,
Right.
"It's Run DMC." He goes,
What's a Run DMC?
Yeah.
and I played a little bit of it. He goes, "That's not music."
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, "You
Interesting.
listen to Hank Williams Jr. We are not the same." So
Right. Yeah.
now, as I've
yeah.
gotten older, I have an appreciation for Hank Williams Jr. too. But
That's funny. Yeah, as we get older, you'd be surprised what I listen to now. But like, it's there is good old classic country music that I missed out on. What's funny is I'm kind of rediscovering.
yeah,
I was, I was so isolated on hip hop and especially like the late '80s. I'm realizing all the good punk rock I missed out on. Like, even like Devo. I'm like, Devo's not a gimmick band. They're actually really good.
You knew Whip It, and that was it, right?
Right, I knew that, but
Yeah.
I'm listening to all the B-52s, The Cure. Like, I'm like, wow. And I know exactly why I didn't catch on to it then, because like I had the blinders on, and if it wasn't hip hop for a minute, I wasn't paying any attention to it.
Yeah.
But that I'm jealous of my kids in the sense that like you can go find any song at any time and go down a rabbit hole, and they have such access to getting exposed to all the music. I don't think I would ever let my bedroom if we had access to music like these kids have today.
No.
Yeah.
So I used to sit Friday nights with my dad's big cans on, plugged into his Pioneer receiver, and
Right.
tried to take in everything I could. The places Red Alert was talking about. I'm like, I need to go
Right.
there someday. I need to go to the LQ. I need to go to the rooftop. I need to be
Yeah,
at the
like
Limelight.
Albee Square Mall. I was
Yeah,
like I couldn't wait. Like when I moved second year at NYU, I moved to Brooklyn. I convinced my mom having roommates in Brooklyn was cheaper than the dorms, which it was.
it was.
And didn't
It's
live
not
too
Brooklyn like it
far
is
from the
now.
Albee Square Mall, and I'm like singing because I'm walking in like my house is Albee Square Mall. I'm like, I no joke. I think I got my first gold grill in Albee Square Mall.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you were outside the city, so yeah, I can appreciate what you're saying because, like, even seeing Delancey Street for the first time,
Yeah.
um, uh, and of all places, like some kids kind of bombarded the after wedding party, and I happened to ask for leaving because we enjoyed their company. They came up, they looked like kind of mid-20s, late 20s. I said, just by chance, I said, what neighborhood are y'all from? Now, remember what song I said I kicked off the speeches with? Run DMC and
Yep.
Sucker.
Sucker
They were like,
MCs.
"Oh, we're from Hollis," and I'm like, "Oh, see, that's the way this world is meant to be."
Yes.
And I explained to them what I had just done, like at 2 hours before, and I said, "You guys could have named 200 different neighborhoods that you're from in New York, and you're standing uninvited to the wedding party, and you're from Hollis, where I did I recited the rap verse from
Yeah.
Run DMC." So we all had that moment of like, that was just the universe in sync. Like the fact that some random kids from Hollis crashed the wedding party. It's crazy.
I thought you were going to say they knew Dana Dane. You were talking about Delancey Street.
Yeah. No, I had to go back to the Sucker MCs, the Hollis.
Yes.
Like,
Full circle.
It's cool, but I would never have heard of. I told them that night, like I would know nothing about Hollis, Queens, if not for Run DMC.
Right.
They put it on the map.
Yeah, St. Albans, same way.
Yep. I was going to say, I'll put that on the map.
I can't tell you where Farmers Boulevard is.
We know where everybody grew up.
Yeah. The Boulevard of Linden. Yeah. I mean, it's
right. Exactly. Yeah. But
where he used to kick routines and the presence was fitting. He's on your T-shirt.
There you go.
I had a 5-footer. Yeah. All right. So, the hip hop. What made you decide to go with that? Because you have some very, very cool items that are, obviously hip hop related, and any place that has .hip hop, you would think that they know what they're talking about. But was it because of your connection to Ed, or was it something else that you said, "Oh, this would be the place I should go"? Had you heard of it before?
What I missed the initial part of that question.
Fine art.
No, I was amazed at one. I thought it was a great concept when Ed put it together. I know Sotheby's had a really successful hip hop auction where I can't remember some astronomical value the entire collection of the source went for in that. And I think that's probably when Ed said, "Well, wait a minute, there might be something to this," but let's kind of bring it back into our control. But I loved what I saw him do a year and a half, 2 years ago with the old school flyers.
Yes.
And I'm sure, he was on talking about that when it happened. I should have grabbed a couple of them. I thought they were actually very well priced, even at, I saw things on there from $100 up to $400 or $500. But, like to me, I've never been an art person. I don't have a lot around the house, but like I said, I should have jumped on buying a couple of those flyers because that was art. That's art to me. Being able to grab like an original printout of a 70s party promotion flyer.
Yeah.
So when he did that, I said, yeah, you're onto something. I wanted to help him kind of put together a bigger source auction with other former staff members that might have some unique pieces from maybe they had the notes from when they're doing interviews with somebody or the actual cassette tapes of the raw recordings. There's hundreds of writers that probably have those things sitting around that they don't need anymore, and somebody might even cherish more than they do just because it could be their favorite artist and in the raw, so to speak. So in talking to him, we couldn't get that together, but he said, I mentioned a few things I had. And he's like, yeah, those might be really, those might be in high demand. And I said, you might be right. And they're just sitting in a box in my house. So, why not? I've got so much stuff like all of us that my wife's saying, why do you still have that in the closet or the garage? But I'm not getting rid of most of the 12 inches. I can't do it. But, I kind of looked at what I had that I thought might be seen as some of the more valuable items. And again, I'm not looking at them and admiring them every day. So, let me make it available for somebody that could, make them look nicer, present them better,
Right.
whether it's a person or a library or even a museum that's interested. But what I found, and I don't know if you've got the pictures, I've got the raw pieces here, but you might have the photos.
I might have. Let me see. Where am I at?
Like the logo, you have that logo that I found that I can give a backstory on.
do.
Well, while you're finding
There we
it,
go. There we go.
yeah. So this is one of the items that I really overlooked for years while it was stashed away. I didn't even realize I had it, but there was kind of a spring cleaning of sorts going on in the source, and a lot of the editors and even Dave Mays, were clearing out things that had cluttered the office.
Hmm.
I was still probably officially an intern. This would have been around mid 91 or maybe mid 92, where I had started interning, by the way, February of 91. So probably a year early 92. They're throwing all these things out, and kind of my cubicle partner, Paul Narvez, and I kind of start looking and like, well, there's some interesting things in here. And having worked with the on the distribution side with the printer, I knew what the materials looked like when they came back from the printer, and the oversized boxes that they sent stuff back in. And I found the raw materials that they sent to the printer to create issue number 2, which, in talking to Ed about this, he's like, well, technically that would have been the first printed issue of the Source magazine, because issue 1 was literally just a one page that Dave copied at a Xerox machine.
Wow.
This was 6 pages that was actually sent to the printer. And it's, getting back, I'll show you another page. Like, so here's that same logo on one of the items. The other item, you can see the logo is copied and then attached to the paper. Yeah, that page.
Yeah.
You can't see it, in that scan, but it's kind of like a 3D element. You've got kind of back in the, before, desktop publishing, you actually had to cut out elements that you wanted as your graphics, tape them to the printed article.
Right.
Like, so that picture of KRS-One and the logo are both physical pieces that are cut out, with the
literal
X-Acto
cut and
knife,
paste.
X-Acto knife out, and then put into place, and then sent to the printer, where they would take pictures on a board and make the negatives that they would then use to print the magazine.
Wow.
So this literally is every element of that second issue, which again was only 6 pages.
Yeah.
But the piece you just showed prior, what I didn't realize I had, go back to that if you can, is it's actually the physical art. Like you can rub your fingers over the source there, and there's depth to it. It's ink. This is the ink drawing of the original Source logo that was used on the first issue. And it's actually got a signature of the guy that wrote it. I had no idea until I started talking to Ed. I had never really paid attention to that. I looked up the guy. It's Jason Bolden.
Bolden, yeah, I can read that. I couldn't read his first name.
Turns out when we started Googling him, to be like, because Dave doesn't even remember asking, but like Dave found a guy studying art at Harvard, and he did this logo. So he attached his phone number and his dorm room number, his dorm at the bottom, because you had to track people down some way back then. Turns out now Jason is like, one of the most acclaimed portrait artists, in history, having drawn, pictures for courthouses and universities across the country. Wow. He did a special commission, Medgar Evers.
Yep.
Medgar Evers, stuff for churches. Again, ended up being like one of the most acclaimed portrait artists that's out there. A kid from Mississippi who came to Harvard, and ended up being tracked down in some way, or who knows. Dave doesn't again remember, like, because a lot of this stuff was just happening so fast back then.
Right.
But
so we need somebody who can do this. Do you know anybody? Okay, get him.
Maybe just asked a few people, like, hey, give me something. I'll use it for this little newsletter I'm putting together. But you can see the B-Boys, in there. And I think they used this for maybe just 2 or 3 issues before they then eventually moved to the block format of the logo.
Right, the more well-known logo.
This is like the jewel, because it's the original art, that was created for that. And again, you can feel the ink on it and everything. And the fact that then Jason Bolden went on to be an acclaimed portraitist, to me, makes it
Yeah.
even more significant because like the guy that did it became somebody.
You know what that reminds me of, Jay? The original Jethro Tull label,
Yes.
the misprint.
The single aeroplane
I
by
didn't even
Jethro
know
Tull.
that.
Yeah, Jethro Tull's first single, Aeroplane, they
And
put on the
was it
label
Sunshine Day? Is that on the other side?
Toe. Yes,
Jethro Tull.
T-O-E,
Yeah.
as opposed
Yeah.
to Tull.
Which I do like Jethro Tull, by the way. I know it's not a person, it's a group.
It is.
Yes.
Thank you. It
Thank
actually
you.
was a person, though, who's an 18th century inventor.
Right.
It was-
But the group, a lot of people think the group was a person because it's got
Yes.
the name.
Everybody sees Ian Anderson and they're like, oh, that's Jethro Tull.
Yeah.
Right, that's
Well,
him. Yeah.
he kind of
Call
is.
him
though.
Jethro and see how that works for you.
But so again, like, it's something that I knew, like, as Paul and I were kind of looking at these things in the bin that was out for trash. Like, we looked at each other like, I think we should keep some of this stuff. Like, this stuff really shouldn't be getting tossed. And he ended up with the same exact package that I had for issue 3, but unfortunately, he ended up having a house fire years later, and it got trashed in the house fire because we kind of did the coin flip. Like, well, which one do you want? Which one do you want? I don't know. Let's I'll take 2, you take 3, and that's the way that went. But again, just fortunate to have it. I've got quite a bit of other items. I got some more controversial things in the archive. Got kind of the whole correspondence that ties into the whole Eminem drama when we released the CD of him saying things he probably shouldn't have said on record before he was signed and stuff, and like the correspondence with the lawyers and the National Enquirer lawyers to get advice on like what we had the right to release and didn't have to release. But
you guys have been through this before. What do we do?
yeah, exactly. And those were the more not so fun times at the source when we kind of took that turn. But and it kind of led to the downfall. But it is what it is. I like to just reflect back on what I like to call the good old days when it was just a genuine place where every single person up there, whether they were on the editorial side or the business side, was there because they loved hip hop. They asked me when I went to apply to just be an intern, well, what do you want to do? And what got me in the door was I said, you guys, I'm more left brain than right brain, even though I love music and have an artistic side. I'm more a numbers person. So I said anything except right. And they were like, oh, well, perfect. Because anybody applying to be at a magazine only thinks about the glory side, which is the writing and the photography, the stuff that people want to see. Nobody thinks about the nitty gritty nuts and bolts behind the scenes and how the business side works and how you get the magazine distributed and printed and the accounting side of things. So it was like music to their ear. I had the right answer at the right time because they needed help on the business side. So, that's how I got my start, was really being Dave's assistant. And then eventually Ed Young, when Vibe was coming out, Ed Young made a move back to work out of the office because kind of had to have all hands on deck because Time Warner was putting out Vibe magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Ed asked me like what I did, what was I studying in school? And he's like, well, you're going to come with me. You're going to, because like Ed loved hearing I love numbers and, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And he taught me everything about publishing kind of, top to bottom, because he had been at the New Republic magazine down in DC learning the same thing for the last 5 years. Because again, you don't think about like how it gets from the printer to the stores and everything in between. No. And, how to sell.
And a lot of people don't want to be concerned with that. They want to
see. Yeah, you shouldn't have to know how the car is built.
No. I just want to see my name on the side of it. That's
right. But somebody's got to get it done. So, but that's what got in the door. And, I ended up, doing various things. I was the music editor for a period of time. When we had the walkout, I kind of had to cover as the music editor. But even before that, I was writing record reviews because as the Oklahoma guy, I could appreciate the West Coast. And so,
right.
And that's what I'll say about the source. The guys up there were self-aware enough to know, like, we might not like it, but we know other people like it. So, like, Matty C shouldn't be reviewing a Second to None album,
right?
But that new kid from Oklahoma, he talked about DJ Quick. He probably could do the Second to None review.
Yeah, I had never DJ Quick.
I never wanted to do a review, but like. They're like, no, you have thoughts about music. We talk about it all the time up here. It's like, just put those thoughts in paper and, we'll edit it heavily to make sure it's clear.
We'll make you sound good.
Right. So I literally then became like the West Coast / down South guy. Like, you know, I do the Luke reviews, I do Poison Clan, you know, Big Mike from Rap A Lot
Yep.
Records, UGK. You know, all of those records when those groups were first coming out, they'd be like, "Oh, Jay Mill, you want to do this?" I'm like, yeah, you know. And then eventually, another kid moved in from the West Coast, Alan Gordon, you know, who was great. So we kind of divvied it up. One, you know, we were guaranteed to, like, you know, just be doing all of the reviews on that type of music.
And now, is that your appreciation for Southern hip hop? Because
Oh,
that
yeah.
was something that took us forever to get into.
Yeah,
Because, you know,
I think that in Oklahoma, like, it was like the melting pot of hip hop, because it
Yeah.
was, everybody there is related to somebody in California. So like the West
Yeah.
Coast dominated heavily, but like we also had quicker access to like the Ghetto Boys as they were coming up, stuff from
Right.
Texas, even stuff from Atlanta, Miami. Luke and Miami bass had a scene. You know, they would get their set at the club. You know, the same way now, like a hip hop club will have 20 minutes of dance hall. Like, you know, you
Right.
had these segments in Oklahoma where like you would have, you know, you actually had the different types of music kind of all being played in one night. But everybody knew, like, it started in New York, and so every hip hop fan at the time wasn't just a fan of Southern hip hop or West Coast hip hop, but as those things came into our lives, you know, certain parts you might like a little better. You know, like,
Mhm.
maybe I'm not just focused on lyric, more bass, or
Yeah.
I want to hear a better melody. You know, and then, you know, and I always, even then, I joked around, like, if we could just get New York lyrics with Miami bass and the West Coast melody, we would have the perfect records. You know, like, I was aware enough even in junior high to kind of be expressing that. Like, why can't anybody put the whole package together?
Yeah.
You know?
Sometimes you just want to hear a guy go, you know.
Na 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 na. Yeah. But actually, you
Put
know
a
what?
premier
That's so funny.
scratch over it.
Right. But Master P took that Pumpkin and All Stars, that na na
Yeah.
na na, like, you know, so that was rooted in New
Profile.
York, and most people that hear Master P, even those in New York that might make fun of him, don't even realize that's a Pumpkin and the
That's where
All
you got it
Stars,
from.
you
Yeah.
know, a 12-inch, you know, which I only know because I brought every profile record. So, but yeah, it became my preference, especially, you know, when I heard Cash Money, and like the sound out of New Orleans just really resonated with me. You know, and again, it kind of refreshed that exploration period that I had with early New York hip hop, or just hip hop in general. It's like now there's this whole new segment, like, you know, bounce music. What are they doing again in Atlanta, and, you know, even deeper into Houston? You know, as
Mhm.
as DJ Screw and Michael Watt started, you know, bringing artists up, and that's just what I naturally gravitated towards. Like, that, again, the, you know, just the style of the records was, you know, more interesting to me. I'll always, you know, like, have that foundation of kind of 85 to 89 that's nothing but New York.
Yes.
But, you know, there's a definitive split around 96 where really, you know, starting with the Chronic too. Like, I went heavy West Coast around the Chronic era. But kind of, there's nothing like kind of that 96, 97 period when, you know, Juvenile came out with and I'm like, whoa, what is you know, like, I had never heard anybody rap like that, you know, and it was a very impressive and interesting to me. So
That's
like, I just
like the first
made
time I
a
think I
big
heard
split.
Mystical.
I took the big left turn right there, you know, and that kind of became the focus of what I like to listen to more often than not.
First time I ever heard Too Short.
Yes. Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
was that enough to start a magazine about Southern hip hop?
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So as things were going south, no pun intended, at the source, you know, there were the politics going on up there, as far as, you know, again, Benzino's presence became kind of more dominant, and that was really after Ed Young and the other owners left.
Right.
You know, the misconception is Benzino was ever an owner. He wasn't. You know, I make that clear. Everybody I talk to, he was the best friend of the owner, and so, you know, you could say, well, he still got to do what he wanted, sort of, you know, but not till the very. What I like to clear up is not till the very end. You know, like, there was a period from '88 to 2005 where, like, he might be fortunate to get a record review or a story on him and his group, but that's because he was best friends of the owner, and I could look past that. You know, like, okay, I'd probably hook my boys up too.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, but like, once Ed was out of the picture, kind of the early 2000s, you know, he started to get a little more involved, and, you know, was, in my opinion, looking to be more famous than even rich, and he did a good job of that. So
Now, you were there. Did he have a neck, or was it just rest on his shoulders.
It's there somewhere. It's
All
there
right,
somewhere. Yeah. But again,
legitimate question.
Out of everything of the source, that's what I like to clear up most. Is you know, I can't stand anything more than reading like even probably in Wikipedia it's probably wrong, like owner of the source magazine. I'm like, no. Best
Yeah.
friend of the owner of the source. There is, with no involvement for like the first 15 years, which
he
really
was
frustrates
there.
me. Yeah. He had no reason to come around trying to be a rap star. Like he was busy
Right.
trying to, jump on the the Rough Riders tour, which
Mhm.
he managed to do. Like that
Yeah.
he was busy wanting to be a rap star and didn't want anything to do with the source really, except maybe get an occasional check. So
Yeah.
whatever. But so I lead into that saying, like, as things kind of took that turn south and a
So
little
did
too
you.
political, too political for all the wrong reasons. So did I. What I was seeing was the South was literally dominating the charts from kind of 2000 to that period 05. That's what we're talking
Mhm.
about here. When I decided to start Down Magazine, short for really Down South Magazine.
Mhm.
Um, because I felt that even though the Southern artists were dominating the charts, even on the source, they were still just representative by a small number of covers. They might get 2 out of 12 covers for the year, maybe 3 or 4, but like they really should have had eight covers in a year, in my opinion, because
Right.
that's how much they had started to dominate the scene. So I made no secret about it. I'm just going to go do exactly what the source is doing, just for Southern hip hop.
Yeah.
And I started Down Magazine, which, because my bread and butter was the distribution part of the magazine, like most people that start a magazine and or most people that try to start a magazine, the problem is they can't get distribution, and without distribution, do you really have a product?
You do not.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I was able to convince the distributor right off the bat to put out 100,000 copies, which people would just dream of. So I
Right.
had that entree into that world that nobody knew about. Ozone was out at the time. Shout out to Julia Beverly. She was the publisher there. She's doing a lot of good things still. She's the one that wrote the book on Jay Prince and Pimp C. She had Ozone for the source, and she didn't appreciate me coming out at first because she didn't have that kind of distribution either. But she was doing a hell of a job, like just with like guerrilla marketing and being everywhere. Like, you'd see her in Atlanta, and then hear that she was in Tallahassee like the day later, and then in Texas 2 days after that. She was all over the place.
It's like, how are you doing this?
Yeah. So she kind of got a little confused. She thought I had copied her idea, but I was making it clear, I'm copying the Source Magazine's idea, but just for Southern hip hop. So there could be two of us. There was a Source and an
course.
XXL. There could be a Down and an Ozone.
That's right.
And we've reconciled since. I like Julia, and she just didn't appreciate me kind of moving into her territory. But
Right.
Coke needs Pepsi. McDonald's
Burger
needs
King.
Burger King.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of my biggest regrets now is when the group that had helped try to get out of their financial hole, which it had dug itself into, took over. I left shortly after that, but those guys called me up and said, "Hey, we've been seeing what you're doing with Down Magazine. We're in a position to take over the source because Dave is now running the company with reckless abandon."
And
and
with
they had money
Benzino.
invested. So he had a duty he had a fiduciary responsibility to kind of keep watch over their money as investors now. So they were in court that things weren't being managed properly. And they said, "Do you want to come back?" And I said, "Well, what would I do?" And they're like, "Well, you'd be the president and CEO." And I was like, "What?" I said, "First of all, I never wanted to leave. I would see people come and go from the source and be like, 'Why do you want to leave?' Like, they'd go to work at a label. They'd go to focus on writing books. They all had aspirations outside of the source. But me, I was like, why would I want to leave? Like, I am at home in heaven. I'm supporting my family on hip hop. It couldn't be better." But it just got too crazy. And then, when I had the idea for Don, I decided, okay, I can take a step out. So to be invited back now to try to fix it was a dream come true.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. But the problem is then that kind of coincided with the digital, expansion of the world. Like, all hip hop had come out. social media wasn't out yet. You had websites taking over. Magazine sales in general were going down. So it was the wrong time to have a financial crisis when we should have been doing what allhiphop.com was doing at the time, and there never should have been a door open for somebody besides the source to even be the online presence. That should
I
have been the
totally
focus.
agree. As a consumer, I
Yeah.
totally agree. That is one of those things where if you are the top of your game,
Yep.
nobody should be able to walk in your space and take your stuff away because
No.
you didn't see it. You need to be seeing those things.
Right. And what's
Not you,
crazy,
but you know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
General,
as a company. Otherwise, it's like somebody just walking into your house and opening your refrigerator and drinking a milk right from the carton.
Yeah.
right. Yeah. And the problem is, the frustrating part is, you could see where it was going,
Mhm.
but there were bigger financial issues, going on because of, kind of
The whole
a variety of
Yep
things, like, in my opinion, supporting the ghost staffers, the phantom staffers we had from Boston affiliated, with the person mentioned before.
Yeah.
We had a lot of employees getting checks that didn't come to work. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. It's like all the people Hammer took care of.
Right. It was really similar. It's so funny that it happens to be hip hop, like where people notoriously have entourages that are way too big that they're trying to support and end up having nothing to show for it at the end.
Yeah.
So I know I've talked to several people and sat for hours of, that we've tried to do a documentary. It's going to be a great documentary whenever somebody can get it done. But I just stopped doing it. I don't mind doing this because people will actually see it. We're actually talking to people that care to hear.
Right.
But I just said, I'm not doing any more sit downs for anybody doing a source documentary because, like, for 10 years that's happened and I've never seen one bit of footage. So, let me know when somebody is ready to really do that. But it is going to make an amazing documentary someday. Somebody will get it done because, there's so many stories to tell from that period. I mean, this was the golden era, when it started, 88. And, the East Coast, West Coast beef, the 95 Source Awards. I was just watching clips of my kids and stuff because, that still fascinates the world. It's like,
oh, yeah.
Like being in that
Source
room.
Awards were a huge thing for a long time.
I would my middle son was 2 months old. Like, you could see me in the video footage behind the brat when she's doing her performance in the aisle. But again, just to have sat and been part of that, like, it's still amazing to think back when fine art, hip hop started putting out the pictures of me, getting a little bit of the story behind who I am because I was more behind the scenes.
Right. You weren't.
It was
the guy
really
who
crazy
needed
to
his name out there.
Yeah, it was crazy to see, like, 10 or 12 years condensed into 2 weeks of photos to be reminded of, like, wow, I really was around some stuff, that was pretty important. But that was the period. It was the heyday. I tell people it was the glory days.
It was. And speaking of pictures of you with people,
okay,
what can you tell me about this picture?
Yeah, that is added. You are perfectly timed up because not only is that me with some hip hop icons from Booyah Tribe.
Yes,
that's also at a Source Awards, probably in 2002. You can see my Source medallion. My wife braided my hair, I'm sure. And I've got something covering the person on the left, but that's either Gangsta Rid or Godfather, and their younger brother Gotti, the bigger gentleman, to my left in the picture. But I had met them. I mentioned I became the guy to do some of the writing on the West Coast artists. I had never done a feature, and one of the editors convinced me to fly out and do a feature on Booyah Tribe. And I got to know them really well on a cross-country trip where we drove from L.A. to Phoenix for them to do a show in an RV. They took me to a Carson Crenshaw football game on a Friday night. Their older brother, Godfather, has passed away.
Yeah.
Gangsta Rid, the lead rapper in that group, has also passed away, unfortunately. But I have a red Godfather style hat. He wasn't just called Godfather. He always wore a Godfather
Had the
brim,
hat, yeah.
Which is the name of a style of that hat. And I've got, like, they couldn't believe, the other brothers couldn't believe he gave it to me. It's like the Booyah blood red, Godfather brim that I have. Like, I'm not selling that. Like, that to me is like from a person as a gift, and that would be tougher to get rid of because that's special.
Right.
But
that's not something you collected. That was something you were gifted.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not going to sell a gift like that. But the cool thing is they're just great down home people. They really took me in. Well, they were happy to get some love in the source, like anybody would have been at the time.
Right.
Honestly, I wasn't as familiar with their stuff, but I could appreciate Gangsta Rid as a rapper. I know they kind of took the turn to follow Ice-T and to kind of some of the metal stuff as
Right.
metal back in the mid '90s. So they've ventured into a lot of things, but I know they respect the culture. Like they were breakers and like doing the boogaloo dancing and stuff.
I remember the video for Reed, and I dudes come out and they're giants.
Yeah. That's another fun part. I'm used to being one of the bigger guys around.
Yeah.
And so I think when I put that picture up years later on Facebook or Instagram, I was like, not only was I the smallest guy in the room, I had the shortest hair in the room, and my hair was down to my shoulders, at that time.
Well, have you ever seen a small Samoan? They're all huge.
No. Even the girlfriends and the wives and daughters, like it's just a big community.
Mm-hmm. It is indeed.
My son can pass for a lot of things. At times I tell him, like, he looks Samoan, and he's gentle in that way too. They kind of have a gentle nature about him.
Yeah.
So he gets confused sometimes for that. He gets upset though, so sometimes he gets confused for Khaled. And
I would get upset too.
One of his groom, actually his brother was doing his speech, and he said it's okay to call him Drake, but don't call him Khaled, because he gets both at different times. So, but it's just funny that. But so that picture though specifically was crazy. I got to know them so well that then when it was time for the Source Awards to roll around, I think a year later, half a year later. I had them come out, got them some tickets for the award show, and the pregame was in my hotel room with me, my wife, Booyah Tribe, and DJ Jelly, a big Atlanta DJ from Big Oomp Records, came up, and like we had the weirdest mix of people in my hotel room pre-gaming before the Source Awards. But I got to roll in with them, and there's no more protected, better feeling than rolling anywhere with a truck full of Booyah Tribe members.
and I think they're the only group I've ever seen that have more members than Wu. I mean, like,
yeah.
They were just everywhere.
Right. Yeah, because Wu-Tang Boy, when they would go into clubs and come on stages, all 100 of the entourage.
Booyah is all family
you've
too.
ever heard of.
Right. Yeah, but you're right. Booyah might be the only ones to match that.
Yeah.
And they were all related.
Right. Yeah.
They all had that last name. It was DeVoe, I think.
DeVoe.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's good. That's good history right there. That's a good note. Yep.
Yeah, I told you, man. We're always working here.
Story. I know your guy will appreciate that.
Yeah, DJB has some issue with Booyah Tribe. I think it's just because he never had any Booyah records, and he's like, "Well, it's too late to start now, so I'll just trash
maybe.
Right. And maybe this will humanize him a little more in his eyes. And
maybe he just wasn't a fan of the wild Samoans when he was growing up, and he just holds something against the Samoan culture.
And the Godfather, yeah, I don't know.
Hey, my son's. I now have a grandson who my son is getting into wrestling, and yeah, I'm amazed. Like the Samoan scene in WWE is larger than ever now. Like
it's all the offspring of everybody who we watched.
Right,
they're all coming up now.
2 years ago, they did this bloodline family tree of everybody, and it's huge.
Yeah. The new guy that they call the Samoan werewolf. Like
Jacob Fatu, yes.
Yeah, I was watching for 10 minutes. I'm like, he's my new favorite. I don't have to look long. He's got a gold grill, and he's coming out.
Get in where you fit in. All gas, no brakes. Got I mean?
Yep, exactly.
I'm a wrestling guy, so
yeah. No, I remember the Tonga Kid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, high flying. Yeah,
but he was not from Tonga.
He was not,
but sounded better.
Yeah.
Well, hell, Yokozuna wasn't from Japan. Yokozuna was part of that family too.
He was, yeah.
Right. Well, think of how many Russians existed in wrestling that weren't really Russian.
Russian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back when that was the thing, but
the big bad.
But that was a good memories of some fun guys there.
And we were talking the other day, and we found something out that Bill doesn't even know.
Oh yeah.
That you've been on our show before.
Yeah, Bill, do you know that you don't this right? You don't the secret?
No, did Ed bring him up?
No. So here, you can finish, Jamie, but I'll tell. So I was getting caught up on the show, and you do the one and done segment.
Okay.
And I said, Jamie, you know what? Since I'm going to be on, you don't have to, but maybe you would consider this song for One and Done, because I wasn't clear on if you did whole albums or whatever.
Mhm.
I had pulled out Source Magazine from Clay D's Out the Can, which he's dots on my screen for a while, and he said, "Oh, you mean this album?" And he sends me episode 411, where
Yep.
you guys had proceeded to go through every track on Clay D's Out the Can.
We did,
Where-
yes.
What you guys didn't know and didn't let play, because I wanted to see if there was any critique. I have all 3 verses on that song on the Source Magazine track.
Well, we can only play like 30 seconds.
Yeah, no,
and we
and
And
get in
as
trouble
it
for
is,
that.
we get
Yeah.
banged anyway, but
Yes.
Gotcha. But he did so much talking in the
Yeah.
intro.
Oh my
I was
God.
so disappointed
He
that I've never gotten a review or a critique on that record. And I was hoping, like, oh, here's my chance years later to see at least what 2 guys thought about my vocal skills.
all right. Let me,
You going to cue it
It's
up?
it's like the second to last track on the album, I think.
It's like,
I was
I
gonna
think
say,
it was,
if you could find it on the Spotify, go ahead.
No, I
bring
know
it
I've
up.
got it
I
because
know you've got it
Yeah.
because we did it.
well,
and-
so while you look, I'll fill the story of how that came
Yes.
about. So my senior year at NYU, at that point, I'm working like 20 hours a week at the Source still, finally getting paid a little bit. I'm the circulation assistant or something like that. They had already told me I was going to graduate and be the circulation manager. You don't have to worry about a job. I'm like, okay, thank God I get to stay. But I'm doing more on the editorial side also. And again, as the Southern guy, they're like, well, we're gonna do a story on a bunch of different folks down in Miami and kind of try to capture that history of kind of how it emerged, who the players are besides Luke and Magic
Mhm.
Mike. So you want to go? And I'm like, oh, that's perfect. It coincides with spring break. So I spent spring break of my senior year of college interviewing like various bass music pioneers. In Clay D, you guys had him as a one done, which wasn't totally accurate because behind the
wait.
scenes he had
Don't-
he had
he had
done
a
quite
group.
a bit. How?
he had one album released as a solo artist.
Okay, right. So you guys weren't counting Clay D and the Get Funky crew,
No, because
No.
that was also a one and done
right? Okay,
because
So
they
I
only
was
released
like,
one
oh,
album.
All right. So when
Mhm.
he went totally solo, you guys reclassified him. I got you.
Yes,
Okay.
because it's a different entity.
So, but he had a lot of production credits on like the early pioneering Miami bass stuff, including being one of Luke's in-house producers.
Really?
He then went on to like be an in-house producer at Rap-A-Lot and moved to Houston with Jay Prince. But as that guy who was kind of the music itself was already enough behind the scenes within hip hop. Like he's behind the scenes as the producer because they never get any credit anyways. So we went into the studio with him and just talked to him about the artist he had worked with, this, that, and the other. And like every rap fan, I had my lyrics in my back pocket at some point, and had tried my luck at like making my own little tapes in the dorm room and over instrumentals, this, that, and the other. And Reggie Dennis, who was the music editor at the time, probably one of the best we ever had. He had the Dennis files where he would kind of make fun of people and create a lot of enemies, but one of the wittiest guys to ever write at the Source. He's like, Jay Mill, you got a few lyrics, right? On the spot. And so Clay D was like, well, get in the booth. Or no, I think I just even started reciting them without being in the booth. And Clay was like, yeah, get on the mic, get in the booth. And like he worked me like a real producer. And I probably had 6 verses memorized out of like 4 songs I had tried to write. And it was the biggest like mashup of like just the 3 verses that I knew I had memorized the
Yeah,
best.
but nobody else knew that.
Nobody else knew that. I flipped a few words around here and there, and Clay recorded it over a slowed down version of I think Eric B. is President, and dun 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 dun, and he put like the deeper 808 bass on there,
Yep.
and I thought it was corny even at the time. Like he started doing the Source Magazine in the
Oh my God.
house,
That is-
Jay
let me
Mill
see if
in
I
the
can find it.
goddamn house. I thought the chorus could have been cleaned up and been better. But
Yeah.
as for him, it was cool to like mention the Source was down in his studio. But the cool thing is they called me, his PR person that introduced us to him called me and said, hey, Clay kind of likes what you did and wants to use it on the album. And like without even asking for a dime, which, like the record probably, barely sold anything anyways. I was like, yeah, let me get cemented in rap history and be on a nationally distributed record, because it was on Pandisc.
It was.
Pandisc had solid distribution around the country, doing Miami-based rap, which had an audience. And so now I'm immortalized on Clay D's Out the Can, Source Magazine, because of that one night, in the studio in '93, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, because the album came out in May of '94. So
yeah. So this was probably would have been probably the previous year we were working on that. So
all right, let me see what I got here.
Yeah. Any of the verses, like, he's got the very last verse, and it's horrible. But like mine, I think are too far.
All right, here we go. Let's see what.
All right. Let's see.
To yell Source Magazine 38 times.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you gotta fast forward about 30 seconds.
Well, I suggest you to step back, child. I'm coming rougher than the roughest of all of y'all. You wanna stop? Well, I suggest that you make a call. 911, that's the number that you should dial.
There it is.
The child stop, and then it comes to lyrics with potential that causes death. I can spit them out in just a matter of just a breath. Cause I confess to have been blessed. I rhyme and get the girls undressed. Then it's no time to turn yourself up. Come with your head up, and I'ma put it down so you'll be leaving real fucked up. Just do a big favor, then step up and savor. The style that I'ma come with is gonna amaze you. I rock and I roll it, and then I show it, I know it, and then I leave the beat to my boy Clay, and then I roll out.
That's it.
And then he starts yelling, Source Magazine in the motherfucking house. Magazine in the goddamn house. Source Magazine.
Well, his verse, the like, he did like 8 bars to finish as a fourth verse. None of it written down. He just went in the booth, and he sounds like an old black guy mixed with an old Italian guy, because he starts the verse off with, "It's a me." I don't know where he came
Mario.
up with, "It's Mario." But he's rapping like a producer probably sounds on the fourth verse of that song. But anyways, that's it. That's a real fun thing to my son loves to play for his friends, to be like, yeah, my dad's on the record.
Yeah, and my kids are 25 and 21, and no, my dad does not do a podcast. No.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But
but I have to apologize to you, because the name of that episode was Throat Goat. So
yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Yeah, it was
talking about Nancy Reagan.
Yep.
Well, what I learned that is Spotify limit on how far back they'll go. They only went back to 4.99, I think, on your Spotify list. So I had to go to YouTube. I had to go to YouTube to track down the thoughts of that album. Yeah.
Thing is, I had server storage issues, so I had to start limiting how many episodes I could keep on the server.
Gotcha.
Because we're self-hosted. So we don't have Podbean or Anchor or whatever to store our stuff. It's all self-hosted. So yes, so our patrons have access to every single episode, because I still have it all in a Google Drive right now. But but I have to cut down episodes that are available to the general public because I don't have the room.
Makes sense.
And we're cheap, so I can only afford so much storage.
Right. Yep. But it's funny. It's just crazy when they, like I said, did that, and you see kind of 12 years or whatever it is, like, condensed into 2 weeks of greatest hit photo ops, and things like that start to reappear of me and Booyah, and me and Clay D, and me and Easy. Yeah, the Easy E is probably the one that really raised the eyes more than any. When people see it, like, of all ages, like, he. It's so iconic, to this day. Yes. And he came and visited the Source offices. Sadly, I would say, if my memory is right, like, probably just a few months before he ended up passing away, back in LA. And there's a scene in the NWA biopic, where they reference, like, him being up at a new music seminar conference, or, something like that. One of those conferences that were going on at the time. And that kind of clarified for me that my timeline was right, because they show him coming to New York for something like that, going back, then having to kind of immediately go into the hospital. And, I was like, that's the summer he was up here. And, like, I think I even have a picture with the laminate on with him, from the conference they showed me. Yeah, up in the right corner.
Yeah.
You see the laminate in it. And
in your Jordan shirt.
Yeah, Mike Jordan. Probably got for free, of course. Right. Yeah. Bun B.
The Professor, yeah.
Yeah. That's probably from the Denver record release party. One of the bottom right is cool. That's when I talked about Husky, Red Man, but Skinny J. Yeah, that's coming off that story. That was cool.
The power of Polaroids.
Right. Yeah, you got a whole cast of. There's another ED in the far right there. That's his first visit to that same summer. I'm in the purple shirt.
Right.
Yeah, that's in the starter jersey. That's the other one. So
nice. Yeah. Now here we go. I'm glad we have this one.
Oh yeah.
Where does the Mind Squad name come from? And for the people who don't know,
I don't know the answer to that. It's something that had been established when I got there. I don't know. I don't know if it seems kind of like a comic book thing to me. I don't know if somebody on staff was kind of a comic book fan and kind of created the Mind Squad, out of a love for like comic book theme type names. But it really just on to represent the editorial staff more than the entire staff. The editorial staff runs, putting the reviews out, the articles and everything. There you see him on the back, peeking over with the These things are crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's your life. I don't want anything to happen to anybody, but it's kind of like appearing at your own funeral to see. You see these pictures, you're like, oh, I remember what happened. Oh, I remember that. I'm glad they're using that one.
Yeah, it is weird. I had that thought when Fine Art Hip Hop was starting to run these things, and it kind of got a little embarrassing, like to see so much love, like 2 weeks in a row with these pictures. And Adam was creating such nice captions about the photos and my relevance to what was going on at the source, and he framed it so well. But I was always the guy that my wife would get mad when we'd go to an industry event and stand in line. Like I didn't have that in me to be like, yeah, I'm Jay Mill from the Source.
Right.
Even as I was like working my way up to president and CEO or COO before that, she'd be like, we really have to stand back here. And I'm like, it just feels weird. I was great if I had a friend in a city, like out of town, who'd be like, yeah, this is Jay Mill from the Source. Y'all got to let him in. Like, I love having
No, it's okay. It's cool.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, no. But like, if I had the friend who was the mouthpiece with me, it was great because he loved to do that. But like, if it was just me and my wife, she'd always be mad. Like, we should, like, I'm sure you're on the list. Like, we don't have to wait at this line. I'm like, it's okay. But, because of that, like, I wasn't as known as, a lot of the other guys that were up there.
The ones who had to tell you who they were?
Yeah, exactly. But, people learn to know, like, Matty C and the writer names. And I kind of went from business side to writing reviews here and there to then, now he's the COO. Now he left. Now he's back as the president. Like, who is this guy? But it's just I became the jack of all trades, which helped in the end when they were deciding like who the new group who they wanted to help try to run the magazine, because I literally knew a little bit about everything on how to run the magazine. So, but I look back too, it's amazing we made it that long, maybe because we were all like in our early 20s and mid 20s. And I remember when we hired our first old guy. It was like in his late 30s from Penthouse Magazine as the marketing director, Jeff Jones, who, definitely helped.
Mike Jones.
Like, not Mike Jones. Who? He, you realize how much you don't know when somebody that's been doing it at a more established place, even if it's Penthouse, comes in, because like we were just flying by the seat of our pants with everything we were doing. Like nobody was there to teach anybody anything except for maybe like the 5 years or so that it had at New Republic, where he learned from one of his professors,
Right.
and that really doesn't count for much. But luckily he was just such a quick learner, but we hired a few consultants that helped us get through it, to make up for that. But again, like, it's a group of 20-somethings trying to make a hip hop magazine that would have gone to eventually print 1 million copies a month.
Yeah, I kind of look at it like Atari. When Atari started, it was all young programmer dudes, and they had nobody to teach them stuff. They just did, and it worked until it didn't.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that until just now. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, Atari was just, it was kind of like, when you see the way Google is run, or the way it's represented. I don't know if it's actually
Right.
where everybody's just riding around on scooters and doing stupid shit like that. That's kind of the
Atari, was
Atari
very much like
environment.
that, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
but they were all smoking weed and drinking and coding.
Yeah. Well, that was
Yeah.
was the environment of the source. Like, you definitely had that segment that was out on the fire escape every day,
Yeah.
doing the exact same thing you just talked about. You know, Busta Rhymes coming up, going in, like, we were expanding the office, and like it'd be Busta Rhymes and John Schechter going over to smoke weed in the the refurbished part of the office that was being worked on. And,
Yeah.
those types of things happen every week, if not every day. People come to the office also that know, like, one of my best moments was MC Breed coming up to the office. Another rest in peace, unfortunately. One of the most underrated, I think. He did a lot of stuff with Tupac. And
Say that's a name we haven't mentioned in a while on here. We've talked
Who,
about
Breed?
it. Yeah.
Breed, yeah.
I think highly underrated. But
Yeah, Breed on the grill. Yeah.
one of my first summers home, or I think my first summer home from NYU, was the summer DJ Quick's album came out, and Ain't No Future in Your Front came out. And I know in Oklahoma City, when the clubs let out at 1:30, that's where parking lot culture comes from. The clubs close early, so you hang out, and that's where sound systems evolve. If somebody's got to be the entertainment in the parking lot and driving around the block. Literally, that whole summer home, my first summer home from New York, all I heard, people would put in DJ Quick's entire album, then they would play Ain't No Future in Your Frontin', then they would play DJ Quick's entire album again that whole summer. So
Pass me the
yeah, I
eight
come
ball
back
so I
to New
can get
York.
fucked up.
I come back to New York, and John Schechter comes around and is like, does anybody want to wait for MC Breed to come up to the office? He's running late, and like nobody knew who he was. He's like, and I was like, oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm like, he's a star in Oklahoma City right now. So it was raining. It was crazy. He was behind schedule on his promo tour because the single had come out. Ichiban Records was going to put out his album. KRS Ichiban, #1 rap star.
That's right.
But I volunteered. It was raining, and they were going to like go catch cabs. And again, like, at that age, you're kind of fanboying at 18 and 19, meeting who you think are big rap stars.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Little do we know they're not nearly as big at that time as you thought they were. But like, I was like,
Who was
hey,
it? Was it Breed?
I
Is it
can call
Breed
my
and
roommate.
DFC?
Same Suzuki sidekick. I said, I can have my roommate bring my car. I'll take y'all around wherever I need to go. So I helped get him around New York City to promo events. Ended up going back to my apartment, and I've got demo records now with MC Breed, like kind of like the Clay D story, where he just loved rapping all the time. So he's like, yeah, let's go upstairs, put on some instrumentals. And like, I have like an hour-long tape of like Breed freestyling in my bedroom, like with him encouraging me to jump in every once in a while. Like it's just crazy. Like the little things like that have happened that you realize moments, but like you put it all together and you're like, wow, there were a lot of those kind of crazy moments, when you start passing the pictures around. That's the one picture missing. We've got a picture of me holding what we thought was a joint, because we took him to Washington Square Park, and he ended up buying oregano from the weed man in Washington Square Park. And he gets it home, and he's like, or to his hotel room, and he's like, this ain't weed, man. This ain't weed. He's like, we should be smoking oregano.
I want some pizza now. I don't know why.
Yeah,
but
Every time I hear that, all I can think of is the line from A Few Good Men. It's like, you're going to spend an hour and a half on paperwork because a signalman second class bought and smoked a dime bag of oregano.
Exactly.
Well, your client thought it was weed. My client is an idiot. That's not against the law.
And that's exactly what happened that night. We actually even got pulled over, but he tossed it up on the dashboard because we were all in hoodies in the Jeep, the sidekick. And we got profiled, and like you said, nothing would have probably happened because it was oregano. But like he balled it up in some paper and tossed it on the dashboard. They pulled us over, found nothing, let us go on our way. And then we proceed to, we didn't even know at that point, though, it was oregano. Like, we get back to the hotel and, there was nothing. It was bad. But I did get an hour freestyle tape of MC Breed out of the deal.
That's worth price of admission right there. It's
exactly. So,
and some oregano.
Right. Yeah. We got seasoning for the pizza. So.
Yeah, when we're done here, I'm going to go throw some Elios in the oven now. We're all this pizza talk.
An underrated cheap pizza. It's
Hell yeah.
For the price, it's good.
Mhm.
For the price, it's good.
Yes, it's not pizza, but it is.
No, it's not pizza, but
no,
it's
but it is definitely.
It's school lunch pizza.
it is a
That's
reasonable
that's school
facsimile
lunch
of
pizza.
something like that, which is good at 11 o'clock if you're hungry.
Hell yes.
Exactly.
You throw it in a toaster oven. You ain't even got to cook it in the oven.
Right. We can use the air fryer now. But
Oh yes,
yeah.
high class. Yeah, no.
Yep.
I said
So
I'm a toaster oven. Damn it.
right.
Let's see what else we got going on. Bill, do you have questions?
No, I think all of my questions have been kind of
Yeah, we've
gone
been all over
through
the place.
during the conversation period. So
Right.
I always start with what's the song that got you into hip hop, but we already answered that. So
Mhm.
Rapper's Delight.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
put you in
and again, the funny part of that to me is like it was 82, not 79 when I finally got, but I caught up.
Yeah, you
You know,
catch up quick.
I don't think I had heard Rapper's Delight until years after it was released too. Like I said, my intro was Rockbox. And
Right.
then I got into this thing called hip hop. And that's when I started going, down the rabbit holes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
when I heard Sugar Hill Gang, because I had heard the La
Good
Freak
times.
or Good Times, yeah. And because that was also from Chic, and I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, I have this because I had a 45 of Chic.
Right.
And then
But
I
no,
heard
little did you know, right?
I heard that they looped it through, and we talked about. I've heard the samples before when we did the Yacht Rock episode.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I've heard this before, but I don't know where I've heard this before,
Yeah.
and that's why it's really cool to go back and find things that have been sampled and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I want to go to a live show. I want to go to a live show like that. My son and his new wife have told me that, that's a thing. But I want to go see like a live show where, the whole party that night is like original, then the hip hop version, original, then the hip hop version. Like, that to me would be a fun concept to attend. And
we have a Spotify playlist that does just that.
I heard that. I got to get the name. I got to jump on that. What's the title of that playlist?
Is the Mr. Throwback Thursday presents
Yacht Rap.
Yacht Rap. Okay. Yeah.
Which,
And
by
now,
the way, we got to
here's what I'll
put
do for
Herb
you.
Alpert and Biggie on there because I
Who is it?
listened to Rise by Herb Alpert the other day,
Yeah.
which is then, of course, Hypnotized by Biggie. So
Right.
we have to add that.
I love that concept. And let's see. Yeah, I lost the thought I had going into that, but that's all right. Plenty.
It happens.
Yeah. Senior moment.
All right. What I would like to do,
Yeah.
if you still have a few moments,
Oh yeah.
I want Bill to throw us to a break real quick
Okay.
because another thing that Bill doesn't know
Yeah.
It's not saying much. There's a lot I don't know.
is that J Mill may have picked Bill Reed's lyrics for this week.
Oh, really?
And I may have that on standby. So if you could throw us to a break, I could set us up a drop and I can get us an intro and we can come right back in.
All right. Sounds
So-
good.
So that being said, come right back. Mr. Throwback Thursday, episode 699, coming straight back at you with a guest pick for Bill Reed's lyrics. So come right on back.
And Bill just jumped us 100 episodes.
I did.
What's
I had
that?
6 in my brain. I said
You said
$6.99 and
$6.99.
$5.99.
Nobody will listen. Don't worry.
Oh,
This-
but the people who are on will hear it.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So, yeah, the live group sees everything, and then you clean up the edits for the.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
So he
what-
likes to leave my mistakes in just so he can make fun of them.
So the only note I'll give you, Bill, on the lyrics,
Oh, God.
it's actually a back and forth in this song between two rappers who are noted. So,
Mhm.
if you want to do just understand that it makes the verse make more sense. It's one guy kind of talking to another guy in a specific scenario.
Sounds like something we've done a couple of times in the past. See, in a
Right.
case like that, I would usually try to do 2 different voices.
I was going to
Which-
say, if you want to try, you can, but you don't. I think we should make it clear though. There are
No,
two,
he'll cut me off if I try to do any of my
Well,
impressions.
it depends
because
on what voices you're doing. Yes.
You don't like the Kermit the Frog. You
I do
never
not.
like the Kermit the
We
Frog.
don't need Patrick Mahomes rapping.
It kind of sounds the same,
Yeah. No, I've only threatened to throw you off the show once, so
and that was
I have
for
muted
Kermit.
you. It was.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
did like
and-
the
and-
Macho Man when we did Be a Man for Bill
Yes.
Reed's lyrics. You did like the ooh yeah.
you can't go wrong with a Macho Man.
No. All right,
But-
let me see what I got here.
I did.
The two best Macho Man impressions I've ever heard were Will Sasso does a really good one, and Dan Soder, the comic. He
Yeah.
does the best one I've ever heard.
Yeah, I love impressionists. My youngest is a good impressionist too. So I'm always getting made fun of around the house by him.
I like Caliendo.
Caliendo's good, especially when he does his John Madden and
Well,
he
his
just
Madden,
constantly
yeah.
talks about Brett Favre.
All right, got that there. I got that there.
So
Somewhere
so
around here.
when are the lyrics revealed? Like literally right before?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
Like,
Bill doesn't
say-
have any idea.
Okay.
we come up, do the intro. I play the disclaimer, and then he says, "All right,
Background music.
Bill Reed's
Yeah,
lyrics."
I know you had the background music.
Yeah, and then I send him a link through the private chat, and that's the first time he sees it.
Okay.
And then he
So-
says,
and
"Okay,
I-
where am I starting?"
The only other note I'll add is I did see you don't seem to care what the rating is on the song. So you
Oh
got
No,
no!
we have a disclaimer.
yeah. So I did follow suit on that.
I'd be disappointed if you didn't.
And then maybe I'll explain why I chose this for after you.
I think what was the first real Bill Reed's lyrics we did? Because I know it started from the
Oh, yeah.
article where I read the Tupac. Was it Acknell? Did we do Put It in Your Mouth as the first one?
I think that may have been one of the
I
first
think
ones.
That
Yeah.
might have been the first one.
So that set the tone. You set the
Yes.
tone.
Oh yeah, he set the
Akinelli.
tone right away.
And it was,
Wasn't
what was
that Akinelli?
oh yeah, what was the other was it La Menage where you're talking about anal tongue darts?
Yes, got the anal tongue darts. Yes,
This one fits right in, but there's a story.
which ended
in
up
here.
on a T-shirt that we sold for a
Yes.
while.
And we
Which
do
one?
like stories.
Yeah.
We do like stories.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since you mentioned it earlier, Bill, I'm gonna play the Red Man drop.
Oh,
Love that.
there we-
It's my favorite drop.
All right, so we'll do that, and then I hit the Bill Reed's lyrics, which I need to pull down here a little bit because I don't know why it's way the hell up there. All right, so I hit Red Man, I'll hit the Burl video, then I'll hit the disclaimer, and then it's on you.
Okay.
All right, let's do this with a tree. Who's your mama?
Ho! Red Man in the building. I repeat, Red Man is in the building. I got a PSA. Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts and smoke your blunts. Right now. Right now. Because we're about to get into some convo. We're about to get into some real topics. My boy, Jamie and Bill on Mr. Throwback Thursdays is in the fucking building. Jamie and Bill, y'all know the topics gotta be off the hook. You know the convo gots to be sizzling. You know it's no hold bars on what the fuck we talk about. Y'all motherfuckers owe me a blunt when y'all see me. And y'all better promote my music when it drop, cause I am a hot topic, nigga. So ladies and gentlemen, get ready for Jamie and Bill on Mr. Throwback Thursdays. Oh!
But it starts with Bill.
I'm Bill S. Preston. It's called reading. Top to bottom, left to right. Group words together as a sentence. Take Tylenol for any headaches. Midol for any cramps.
Most people probably don't listen to the lyrics, but they should.
Welcome to Bill Reed's Lyrics.
Hello, this is Bill Reed's Lyrics. It is an educational discussion of artistic expression and creativity of modern lyricists. Bill may recite explicit or offensive language. Professional supervision is suggested for sensitive listeners. The average views and opinions within these lyrics are not necessarily those of Mr. Throwback Thursday or its hosts, and will be in the area of 160 WPMs. We hope that you will find our presentation precise, humor heavy, and just right. Thanks.
Welcome back, Mr. Throwback Thursday, episode $5.99, not $6.99, like I said when we went to break. Didn't want to go 100 weeks ahead. But if I had, I would have missed the opportunity for Bill Reads Lyrics this week. And Bill Reads Lyrics is a special Bill Reads Lyrics not because I know what it's going to be beforehand, because I never do, but Jamie didn't pick it. So
no, this is the first time in however many episodes of this segment that I've not picked the lyrics.
So Mr. J. Mill should feel very, very honored that he is the first non-Jamie to pick the lyrics for me. And I guess there's a story behind it. So either we'll share
get to that
story beforehand or after.
Let's save that.
Yes.
Okay.
Because you've got to do it first.
Yeah.
We don't want to give anything away.
No kind of hints. All right. So I'll send us.
Never.
I'll send us over into private chat.
Oh, there it is. Oh, I've done this artist before.
You have, but not this song.
Okay, good.
Not this song, no.
Yep. So I want you to jump down, just go past 2 choruses.
Yeah. And the only thing we should add is what I told you guys. There are 2 rappers on this verse who kind of alternate bars. Yes. So it's a story between 2 guys having a conversation here. KB and another guy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So after the second chorus.
So you're just going to start with what?
I see it.
All right. And then roll it from there on out.
Okay.
And you can do the chorus once at the end. You don't have to do 4 times.
Okay. Okay. That's fair.
All right.
I don't even know what the chorus is. I haven't gotten that far.
I might help you. Maybe I'll help you with the chorus.
Then with no type of ado, Sesame Street Grover style, whether nearer or far, we will cue the motherfucker Hannah.
What the fuck is this thick neck big bitch here? Man, I should have bought a 16-ounce beer. Say, Big House, you fucked over me, dog. I thought we was cool. How in the hell we gonna get these 2 big bitches in the pool? Ha ha ha, you fool. Stop tripping and just take your clothes off. 'Cause all pussy feel the same when the lights go off. Man, that's too much pork for just 1 fork. And I'll pass. You can't even tell the difference between the stomach and they ass. Stretch marks on they titties like a road map. Ho slapped on some Maybelline. But she kept her nail clean. And at least these hoes big and cute, not big and fucked up. You done fucked a skinny, ugly ass hoe. So Nickelback, what's up? Don't give a fuck if you fuck these broads nobody knows. So just drank and smoke this dank and let's fuck these hoes. Come on and show them what they pussy made for.
There you go.
You made it.
I did. And I did the 2 different voices.
Yes. Yeah. I think
I'm not quite sure why the second one kind of sounded a little like Kevin Hart, but that's the way we went.
But I'll allow it.
I'll allow it.
Yeah. So should we reveal who the I mentioned KB, who is much lesser known than the star of that show.
Yes.
Devin the Dude. Yes.
The reason for choosing this, my absolute #1 favorite artist, Devin the Dude, is from his debut album. The one where he's sitting on the toilet reading the newspaper. Yep. The self-titled titled The Dude.
The Dude.
To me, this is the down south equivalent of Slick Rick's storytelling ability. When you get into Devin, like he has a way of painting a picture. Like, even though that song is nasty as any song you're ever going to hear, like, you can picture exactly what these guys are going through. Like, you invited me over here for that?
Yep.
Like, it's crazy the way they set the scene.
All I can picture is the scene from Friday when he goes,
"Yes,
you knew she didn't have no hair."
Exactly. And the first 2 verses are building up to that moment where Devin finally shows up. Like, the second verse, he's calling him like, "Where you at, man? You late?" You know, and then that's why there's the build. I'll be like, you call me here for this?
For this?
You know, and then obviously, and then there's some gems in there that you can pass down to generations. Like all P feels the same when the lights go off.
When the lights are off.
Don't worry about it. It all feels the same when the lights go off.
Well, you know, what did they say? It's all pink in the middle.
Oh, so nasty as can be, but when I heard how these generally go, I figured, okay, I can get my favorite rapper on the show that way, and we can let Bill do as usual from what I heard. Fit in perfectly. My third son is actually named Devin. I tricked my wife. I swear to God.
That's the best part of the story.
Right. Dewan is my oldest. Dorian is the middle. He was conceived the summer that this album was out. And so when he was born, I was like, wait a minute, I think I got the next D name. Devin. She's like, oh, I like that. And I'm like, she knew nothing about, she doesn't listen to any of that stuff.
And you're like, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
But do you call him dude?
No, but what's crazy, Devin the dude put out his own beer like 4 or 5 years ago, like a group from Amsterdam. Like, he's really big overseas, and
like
they put out a beer line that has Devin on the can, gold can, nice font. So my son's 21st birthday, I tracked some down and got him a 6-pack of Devin beer.
Nice.
For him, and we drank a couple, but like those are also best unused. So he's got 2 sets in the can. Like if he puts them together just right, you can read the whole name Devin. Sitting side by side. But I've been fortunate enough one time to meet Devin backstage when he did a New York show, and got to tell him. I don't know if he remembers it or comprehended it, but I did get to tell him, like, oh man, you're my favorite. I named my third.
But you do, and that's really what matters.
Right. But he might remember that because like I did name my son after him, and he might have thought I was a little crazy. But
that is the best part of the story.
Yeah.
So no, I have a very small comparison. I've been in a fantasy football league with Curtis Blow as my commissioner for like the past 6 years.
Oh, now that's dope. That you can't beat that. You can't beat that.
Except Curtis likes to change the rules.
Oh my God,
he's
an awful commissioner. Great guy, awful commissioner.
8 million rules.
Like this year, as he's done in the last 3 years, he puts the draft as an offline draft.
Right.
So I messaged him. I'm like, Kurt, are we all coming to your house or something to do this? What are we doing?
Oh, he set it up wrong. He didn't mean to.
Right, but he does it every year. He ends up fixing it in time. But no, so we went to the 30th UMTV Raps concert at the Barclays Center.
Yeah.
So I was there, and I was back in the dressing rooms and whatnot, and I ran into him. I'm like, I said, Kurt, Jamie, I'm from Mr. Throwback Thursday podcast. Said, I've been in your fantasy football league for years. And he goes, what's your team name? I said, Back Thursday. He's like, oh, dude. And we started talking football. And I'm like, this is like the craziest thing ever.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
My moment with like a true pioneering legend like that was with Master G. I got to meet him. They did are you guys familiar with like the mini hip hop museum? That's like a traveling one that's down in the DC area.
Yep.
Went down to an event there where, again, it was after, years after, this was like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, where Dave May was going to be on a panel. So I drove down with Ed because we hadn't seen each other in a while, and we hadn't seen Dave in years. And I didn't know Master G was going to be there. And like that went on, those kind of meetings almost bring you to tears. Cause like, again, when I telling you the first song I heard was what it was, like so many, but then to know and be able to tell him like, you were connected to me raising my family and paying my, like you took me on a path that ended up being, my work for life.
Yeah.
And like, who knows? Like, I don't know if another record would have done that, probably, but you were the first record that set it off, like the 15-minute version of Rapper's Delight, poster on the wall, all that stuff. So
I do about the 7 or 8 minute version of that at karaoke. They don't do the full 15, but I do about the 7 or 8 minute version of karaoke.
I've jumped up and done I've just realized like I'm having like karaoke renaissance because I just realized like, wow, you don't have to sing. You can do rap songs at karaoke.
Yeah.
Like it just hit me like in these last
I've
couple
won
of years.
contests doing that. I actually won a contest doing Rapper's Delight and got bitched at by somebody in the contest because that's not really singing. So I broke out a fucking Elton John song and I sang that and I won anyway.
That's good. Okay, but like, yeah, it was like the light bulb went off. Like, oh yeah, you don't have to sing. I can
Yeah,
do any
this is also
song.
a song.
Right, these songs. Yeah, yeah, and like so, Planet Rock's in the repertoire. That's another all-time favorite.
Nice.
Legendary.
Well,
Yeah, Planet
we
Rock.
had MC Globe on the show. That's a cool dude.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, that's like just yeah. Speaking of that era, like go ahead.
I would say my oh my god moment was when we had Red Alert on the show. We've interviewed Rock and Roll Hall of Famers on this show, but no moment for me was bigger than having Red, who basically got me into hip hop.
Yep.
Same.
And I've been able to meet him and tell him. So now to tie that into me being here, and my very first day at the Source as an intern, I come in, I do my 3 classes or 2 classes at NYU, walk over, they sit me down and they're like, oh, well, that's back in the original issues. They had like regional report and top 5 or top 10 lists from different DJs around the country. And they gave me a list and said, yeah, just call these DJs and get their top 10. Red Alert was on the list, like my first day at the Source, and I'm like, literally looking like, call everybody. Like I felt like I shouldn't have his phone number. Like you're giving me Red Alert's phone number, and I literally remember calling him and being like Red Alert, Mr. Alert. Like I don't know what to call it.
Yeah,
like, DJ Red Alert.
Uncle
Whatever
Red.
it was, I ended up saying like. Yeah, I'm like, I'm Jeremy Miller. I'm at the Source magazine. They said, you submit your top 10. I'm calling to get it, whatever. And it, he works crazy hours, and this was 3 in the afternoon. It literally sounded like he was waking. I woke him up, and like I just hear, oh yeah, hold on, man. And I hear like papers crumpling, and it literally sounded like a kid like looking in his drawer under his bed for something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, if I'm bothering you, like I can just call back, or don't worry about it. And he's like, no, I got it here. It took him like 3 minutes to find his list, but he had it. Like so, my very first day at the Source, I got to call Red Alert and get his top 10 list for that month. That was going to come in the Source magazine. I was floored. Like, really, call everybody on here?
Yeah, I know this name. I know this name very well. You want me to call him?
Yep. And Mr. Magic would call him the sucker down the dial.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
they were not friends.
We know better. We know who we were.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But those were the things. That's why I would tell my friend to leave the commentary in between. Like, I didn't just want the songs. I wanted to hear like what was going on. Like, feel like I was actually in the city somehow.
Yep.
So crazy. But yeah, that's good. We connect on a Red Alert story there.
Hell yeah. The Violators. Yeah.
Yes.
The reason why we parked at the Swim and Tennis Club.
Yeah. And that's what I told Red. I said the reason there is a Mr. Throwback Thursday is you. I mean, it's
right. Yeah. So I realized like if they didn't catch it earlier, like the specific site that auction is fineart.hiphop. It's a little different because they don't use the .com. They you can use any dot into some. So it's fineart.hiphop. Apparently, I'm the only set of items. There's those 3 different items: the records, the logo, and the materials that made up issue number 2. So
there was another one.
I didn't mention the start date. It's August 18th.
That's
going to go live. You can see the preview of it now if you go there. The preview of the items is up. Starts August 18th. It's going to run for 2 weeks. Then following that, the lady who was the creative director at Sugar Hill Records, they're going to have a group of items that she's collected, which are in a way similar to what I've got. There are a lot of the proofs that would come back from the printer or be ready to send to the printer before printing. So she's got these similar type of raw materials that were used for like all the album covers, all the singles for the Sugar Hill albums and cassette tapes and all the pressing. She was their original art director, creative director over there at Sugar Hill. So they're going to start doing things more frequently. There it is, Miss Agrawal, and but I thought maybe they'd go up simultaneously. I found out that I'm going to run first for a couple of weeks, and then hers will be shortly after that. But
I think that's a good way to do it too. So,
one at a time, and let people kind of get the spotlight put on their items. And the flyers was different. They had like 50 different people with different flyers distributed. but yeah, I think it's going to be great, and it's going to be something to look forward to every few weeks that Ed and Adam are doing over there at Fine Art Hip Hop. So I appreciate them.
Oh yeah, and good friends of the show.
We appreciate them too. We've done a lot for the Hip Hop Museum.
Yes,
and Adam's always coming on afterward, like, really, you guys did this?
Right? Yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. We can have a museum now, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for
The
this to actually
museum
open
now. The
Yep.
museum.
not
The-
a.
We will,
Yes,
we will
yes,
be.
yes. The-
In fact, when we're there, because we have been invited to record a show there
Yes.
in person, if
At
you
the-
are
at
in
the
town,
opening, yeah.
by all means, we will.
Well, I'm still in New
reach out.
Jersey. Yeah, I didn't move
Yeah.
far. I tell
When
people I
we-
moved from Oklahoma and never went home. I always stayed up here. So
We're going to try to get a posse get together so everybody
dope.
can come up and.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I'll be back
Oh,
up in
yeah.
Atlantic City in about a month.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, I did okay. I told you I at least left with all the money I started with.
And that's the key right there.
Yeah, I can't say I really went with a lot of extra, but I didn't lose. So I'm coming out ahead of that.
Yeah.
On the museum note, the funny thing talking to Ed is, just his casual mention of who he's talked to. Oh yeah, I was talking to LL. Or I was talking
Yeah.
to Kurt. Oh, I was talking to Big Daddy Kane.
Oh,
and
he
like,
is the smoothest name dropper ever.
Yeah.
Well, I
We're doing a wine with so and so.
In fact, if he ever put out an album, that's what it would be titled, The Smooth Name Dropper.
I always said my ultimate guest for this show, aside from DJ Premier,
Yeah.
is Tracy Morgan.
Oh.
Because number one, I'm a huge fan. Number two, he's a huge hip hop fan.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and Dice was like, "Let me tell you a little story about Tracy Morgan. I used to babysit him." I'm like, "What?"
Crazy.
Paradise Gray babysat Tracy Morgan.
Wow.
So like, so you talk to people in this world, and and they're like, "Yeah," and this
he
crazy
was,
thing
he was really
happened.
good. I saw him on a subway once when in college, and like he was with friends, and like was basically just doing a routine for his friends, like, and then so
Yeah.
it's like and I
How
didn't,
can you
I
turn off?
had no clue who he was. I had some friends that would go to Uptown Comedy Club, and I think might have mentioned him, but I didn't even know at that moment it was him. I had to figure it out later, but. My kids think I do a horrible impersonation of him, but it's like I just do. That's crazy. that's all I can
Get
do.
the doodle pampers.
Somebody going to get pregnant.
Right. That's
Yep.
crazy.
I would tell you, Jay Moore, the greatest Tracy Morgan impression ever.
Who did?
Jay Moore.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He tells a story that's not his story. It's Burt Kreischer's story, but he told Jay Moore he could tell it because he has the impression. I'll send it to you because it is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Great.
And tell him what our ultimate goal for Tracy Morgan is.
Oh, I want to see a live action Brown Hornet movie, and I want Tracy Morgan to be the Brown Hornet.
That'd be classic all around.
I know.
Make just Tracy Morgan as a superhero.
Seriously, how does it not happen? And I want Kevin Smith to direct it.
And who did we say would be Stinger? I forget.
Oh, because obviously Tracy Morgan looks more like Stinger, but he needs to be the Brown
But
Hornet.
he needs to be the Brown Hornet because he's got to deliver all the lines.
Yes,
We'd have to come up with a good Stinger.
we would.
But anyway, we are
Yes,
still
right.
working to get that happening. So
Yes. All right. What else we're going to work on? We're going to say goodbye to Jeremy and thank him very much for being on the show.
thank
And,
you.
uh,
very
once the
much.
auction-
Great talking. You don't get to. I don't get to have. You get to do this every week. I'm more in the college fantasy football stuff now, so I've shifted gears. But you guys, I miss these conversations. So I need to revisit this more.
That is
Like I
what
said-
we try to do. We try to just have a conversation, not necessarily an interview, because we find that when we just talk to people, we find out more of what everybody wants to know. So
Right. Yeah,
Like I said,
it's
and
been
you got
great.
my number. You want to talk hip hop anytime? You know where to find me. So
Yeah, I'll be sending some random texts now.
Yep.
You could tell Bill it was your idea for the verses, but I might be sending you a few here and there.
Okay. Okay. No, he'll give you full credit.
I will. Yes.
Okay,
I can't wait. In about 3 weeks,
Bill,
it's going to be.
Bill, do you remember what the other Devin the Dude song was that he force fed the lyrics for you to read?
I think it was off the same album, but I don't remember which one.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't usually post them in the lyrics either.
No,
that's fine. All right, I was just curious. That first one's a classic, though. So
It is.
I'm glad. you guys have surprised me all around with the prep for the show. I'm recommending things that you already knew about. Like it's been amazing. Like how deep you guys dig.
Well, it's 11 years, man. It's
you know what you're doing.
We might get we might get this by the second 11.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tune in to next week to see if we can get feedback on your boys' reaction to the Booyah Tribe story.
Yes.
DJ B, pay attention. Booyah.
Yes, B. And B will hear this story because
it's played on his station.
He is the world premiere of the show on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
We had to move from Thursday mornings. He has his shop in a mall.
Yeah. Oh wow.
And Bill Reed's Lyrics comes on at 11 a.m. when kids are in the mall, and he's like, "No, we can't have Bill Reed's Lyrics playing in the store."
Well, he didn't say it. Boss lady said it.
Boss lady said it. Well, we all know who runs that anyway.
Yes.
So.
Right.
So B gets the world premiere on Wednesday nights.
Yes.
So
I expect to hear from him.
Premiere. Another Mr. Magic record.
Hell yeah.
Premiere.
Yeah, I expect to hear Thursday morning from B. Why are you putting Booyah on my station?
All right. But hey, it was fantastic. Everybody go to fineart.hiphop.
Yes.
Now look, and August 18th, if you feel like these items belong in your collection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we will put the link up on the 17th to remind people it's going to happen on the 18th.
Yes.
Great.
You
Appreciate
put it on
it.
all of our socials. And
right. Take care.
Once again, everybody,
stop by
thank you
anytime.
to Jeremy Miller for joining us on Mr. Throwback Thursday, episode 599. What a nice little trip down memory lane this has been.
Yes.
We look forward to seeing you very soon.
All right, take care, brother. Happy to have you.
That was a lot of fun.
All right. All right, see ya.
Well, my friend.
Yes.
We have done Bill Reed's Lyrics. We are at about that time, I guess.
Is it that time?
And we did have music this week. So
huh?
We did have music this week. We had Jay Mills' verse.
We did.
So for this is not the first ever show to not have any music on it. So
true.
So there you have it.
Let me switch this over here real quick.
There you go.
Right quick.
So the hat has been changed.
All right. Well, then, if you would not mind, I would appreciate it if you would take us the fuck home.
Mr. Throwback Thursday, episode 599, the Jay Mill episode, brought to you in part by our good friends at Magic Mind. Get your Magic Mind at www.magicmind.com/throwbackJUN. Still the active code. You get 20% for one-time purchases and up to 48% off for subscriptions by using the promo code ThrowbackJUN. That's magicmind.com/throwbackJune. Your mental performance shot in a tiny little bottle. Drink it nice and cold.
Good thing,
and
small
it will make
packages.
yes. And we know about all those. So get yourself some Magic Mind today. Def Rugs, defrugs.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all at Def Rugs. Handmade, high-quality hip-hop themed rugs brought to you by the original Rug E Fresh, Marshall Fox, and his business associate, who Jay Mill mentioned during the course of the conversation.
And who I saw last night.
The Green Bandit, Eric Sermon. Yes, you did see last night. We'll have to get a full rundown on that concert next week.
We will. Maybe I'll just give it to the patrons.
Oh, you could do that too.
Ooh.
But you can get yourself a Def Rug. Anybody, not just patrons, can get Def Rugs by going to defrugs.com. Get yourself a Def Rug. You could also get yourself some of the best candy in the world. Our good friend Heather Lent, who tonight I believe is bartending at SPAC, but during the day she is the proprietor and owner of the Bittersweet Candy Company, and that makes her.
Ooh, hold on. I had pulled the volume down. That makes her.
Because she is the one who makes candy and chocolate that is handmade, small batch, different, and
delicious.
Go check out on Facebook, Bittersweet Candy Company, or order at bittersweetcandy.com. You can use our code THROWBACK and save 10% off of your order at bittersweetcandy.com.
And that also lets her know that you learned about her from
Through us. Yes. And that her advertising with us has paid dividends. So by all means, use that code. Melted Mike's, we mentioned that during the course of the show. Jamie is repping a Melted Mike's shirt tonight, MLTDMICS.com. You can use our code MR Throwback Thursday to save 10% off of those hip hop and other musical themed t-shirts, hats, coffee mugs, everything that Pumice has going now at meltedmikes.com. Don't forget the social media network for the show. Visit us at mrthrowbackthursday.com. Leave us a voice message. If you want, click on that little microphone and let us know what you thought of our conversation with Jeremy Miller.
Yeah.
Great hour and a half, 2 hours of conversation.
Oh, yeah.
You can also leave us a voice message. And since Happy Gilmore 2 is coming out soon, you can just tell us, you suck, jackass, if you want. Just as a throwback to the original Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
You can also follow us on our socials on the artist formerly known as Twitter, currently known as X, _MR_TBT, and Bill_MR_TBT. Also my Instagram handle. Jamie on Instagram is at MR Throwback Thursday. That is also the address for our TikTok channel where we post little shorts, videos of prior shows and things we want people to see and hear. We also post those on our YouTube channel, which if you go to youtube.com, search for MRTT. That's a Mr. Throwback Thursday channel. Click on that little subscribe button and then click on that little bell, and that will let you know when we are live on Mr. Throwback Thursday, MRTBT on YouTube.
Yes, and share us with your friends.
Absolutely. And then right after, actually, Wednesday night is the world premiere. I don't want to say right after All Request Thursday anymore because it is Wednesday night, the all world premiere of every episode. This show will be on at 9 p.m. East on Wednesday nights on Fresh Radio at itsfreshradio.com and the Fresh Radio app for your phone. And then you can also check us out wherever you get your podcasts. It is shout outs time.
Yay.
Shout outs to Jeremy Miller for joining us. He gets the big shout out this week.
Yes.
Thank you, Jay Mill. It was really, really a lot of fun. Shout outs to Gail Dunmeyer, Manny Baez, Sarah Henderson, John Henderson, Hugo Gonzalez, Sanket Patel, Clay Arsenault, the Shrieking Warrior, Jennifer Buchanan, Jason Heath, Jessica Walker, Shane Hatley, Ahoy Mateys, Captain Ricky Schnarr, Mr. Cranky Pants, Brian Hollenbeck, the legendary Kevin Van Buren, Robert Jeffroy, Win with Ken Elsfelder, Harvey, Catherine Liska, Wanda Calamia, and Gunther, and Lion Lindwoodell. They get mentioned every week because, like David Wright's retired number today,
or more,
they actually played that in one of the video things. I'm like,
as they should have.
Not mean what they think it means, but I do get the 5 on it reference.
Yes.
You want to get your name mentioned every become a patron, go to patreon.com/MRTBT or MrThursday.com and find a little link on there that says become a patron. Don't forget our friends in the industry as always. 1980s now, Will, Cat, and John getting it done 1980s style over there. Anthony, Imran, and Rug Boy getting it on the Jock and Nerd podcast, doing the Jock and Nerd thing. Go check them out. Go check out our friend Talking Ty on What's the Word podcast with Brooklyn Ty NYC. You know what I found out about Ty's show? It's a lot more fun when she's angry. She's a lot like Mary J. Blige that way.
Yeah.
I like angry Ty. I mean, I like friendly Ty. She's always been very friendly to us.
Yes.
But angry Ty is entertaining as shit. So
I agree.
So go check out What's the Word with Brooklyn Ty. And we mentioned the hardest working turntablist in the world, DJ B on It's Fresh Radio. Again, the world premiere of each episode of the show, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday nights. Get that Fresh Radio app for your phone and that out. You can also go to Wild One Radio at wildoneradio.com, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and all of that good stuff. Go find us. Share the good word. We will be back, as far as I know, to our regularly scheduled time, which will be next Sunday.
Should be, yes.
And if that changes, we'll let you know. But we will be on next Sunday at 8 a.m. So get yourself Get yourself some nice fresh coffee and a good Magic Mind to wake yourself up and enjoy some more hip-hop talk. Until then, Take good care of yourselves. Wash your hands.
Wash your butt.
And until next time, keep it classic.
And like Cool Keith said, increase with the golden shower surprise. There's nothing more than a pretty woman wanting sexy men to piss in her eyes.
Always remember.
New school stale. Old school fresh.